Good morning, traders out there. Welcome back. It's another bright week, ready to get it started. Of course, a little bit of a bounce back Monday. The question is, will bounce back Monday continue? You guys in the chat, let me know. Or maybe you guys right now tuning in on X. How about you guys come over on the YouTube side of things and come chat with me, come trade with me. Or, like always, you guys can tune in on X, click it, and hit the chat so that you guys can also show up in the comments. Let's get to the trading action. Let's check out today's playbook. What does Money Mitch have up his sleeve today? All right, traders, first up, we're going to take a look at FAZ, and this is a leverage play that I'm looking at even in this morning, thinking about maybe taking a shot right out the gates. We'll be talking a little bit about FAZ. Let's go take a look at the chart here. As you guys can see, this is, of course, a gap down after kind of taking off, right? I've been talking about how I've been looking to see financials start to turn, and I think the turn has happened. Now the question is, can I get a pullback to the entry, right? So the first rip was this rip here, and then we've had this pullback closer towards this spot here. So I'm looking to see if we can get back into the 830s, 834s. That's like the perfect pullback area to buy. And right now we're at the like 843 range. So maybe we can get a little bit of a pullback, giving me an opportunity on this pullback to go for the FAZ. And of course, I don't need to go for the leverage trade. I can go after single names that I'll be looking at. Of course, you guys know how I like my Goldman sucks. And of course, we'll be looking to see if that can continue lower. Our love pops back into the 488s and the 490 range to then eventually get short this. You can see where this broke down from. And so essentially what I'm looking for is come back to the prior support that you broke down recently, and then just reject that area. Let's say the 486, 488. We'll see what happens if we can get that on Goldman Sachs. You got Morgan Stanley also can get lower. I see this cutting down back through the 96. JPM just got a recent hold, and I think that this could cut down to the 212s, 208s. And then Wells Fargo already making a big cut on Friday. This is one that I can tell you I do see more weakness, but you got to wait for this one to come back a little bit because I just feel like it's too weak already. Then you got Citi. There's so many of these that I want to look at for potential longer-term shorts. Even Bank of America looks like a nice opportunity today, especially if it can get towards 39.25 or 39.40s. That looks juicy to me. We'll see what happens there in Bank of America. Let's get to the second one here on the playbook. Looking at a short on Zoom. Yes, I said it, guys. One of the things to remember in Zoom is that it's had a nice little pop, right? You can see it on the chart. I'm not going to act like it didn't have a pop. Let's take a look here at the chart. You guys can see it. Nice little pop here. It was a nice little rise of about, let's say, 16, 17%, right? And now you've pulled back, and I can't act like it hasn't, right? Like you guys can see it right there. There's the retracement tool, and it's holding around what? Perfect 50% retracement. But now I'm looking for that level to get broken. Right? So that was the perfect retracement that we just saw. Now, will we make a move above this bull flag or below the bull flag? So if you're a bull and you like this to the upside, well, you're looking for a move above 68s and 69s to hold. But I'm looking to see if we make a move to 67 today and cut down towards the 66.50s, eventually cutting down towards 66 by the end of the day and looking like a breakdown coming back down in Zoom. All right, let's get to the third one here on the playbook. We'll talk a little bit about the VIXI, and the VIXI is going to be always in play when we have uncertainty. You guys know I've been scalping this like no other, guys. I think I'm literally 4 for 5. Yes, I had a loss on this last week, but that doesn't make me shy away. If anything, I'm really starting to take a look at levels, right? So what we're going to do is let's take all these levels off, right? Let's go to a different outlook here. So I'm going to go to a different scratch board. Let's start it again. What do I see here on the hourly? I see resistance around the 1374s, what we're fighting essentially this morning. I see support around what? 1270s. So we could see a decline today if we get a comeback Monday and just kind of starts to drive higher. We could see pullbacks at 13 and 1275s in play. But if we do get further breakdown, 1420s. The resistance at 1440 starts to kind of get hit. And then we'll look to see if we really get a breakout towards 15. I think that I'm looking right now and seeing this more on the daily. And the daily tells me 13 in play today on the pullback, giving the opportunity for all those big buyers that caught at like 14s to get caught, wash out, and then recollect around the 1350s. But first, I'll be looking for that move down, and I could look for a short, a scalp short on the VIXY today, is what I'm seeing. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and we'll kick it to the now. We'll get over to the Sunrise report. We're going to actually just take a look at some of the stocks here. Wasn't able to get kind of the graphics ready. Had a little bit of an issue this morning with a couple of my AIs. So AI sometimes, will help you. Sometimes they'll hurt you. So let's get to the action. Let's take a look at what's going on today in today's Sunrise. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the action here. We'll go ahead and see what's going on in the market. Let's see what's going on here. And there's a lot of action moving around right now, and we'll take a look at different stocks here. Let's take a look first as we get towards the action. Of course, I've been looking at the VIXY just to see what was going on there. Just saw a recent pullback. Let's go to the SPY here. You guys can see the SPY, a little bit of a gap up. Let's talk a little bit about what stocks are moving out there right now. I'm going to pull this down right now. We'll take a look at my loss in INBS in just a second here, but wanted to take a look at some of these stocks to see what is trading here. Let's start first up with, of course, the economic focus. Of course, a big focus this morning will be to focus on the 71% chance that the Fed could cut by 25 basis points at its next meeting. Of course, this is coming from the CME Fed Watch tool. So if you don't use the CME Group's Fed Watch tool, all you got to do is just search that on Google. It'll come up. I take a look at this all the time just to see the change in the way the traders are looking at things. And there was a time where this was 100%, right? And now it's starting to come down. And there's some talk that we could get a 50 basis point cut. And that's a 29% chance. At some point last week, this was at 50%. And so things like this is what I'm looking at, right? This is what we need to be paying attention to. And of course, the Fed meeting is when? It's all the way until next week, Tuesday. So what does this tell me? That, yeah, you're going to have traders concerned about this, but should we be focused on this? I actually think the opposite here. I think that you need to be looking for potential moves back up here and getting a little ramp, or the opposite. I think it's going to be one or the other. I don't think it's going to be chop here. I actually think that we're going to get a move here in one way or the other, because this is going to put pressure on the Fed to decide which way they want to go. If they get a big bounce back, they could just not cut, right? I mean, that's still in play, right? And then another move is that we get a big down move, and then they do go for that 50 basis point cut in a way that they look at kind of an emergency rate cut, right? They look at it as a way to save the economy. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. I'm ready to trade it, team. Let's keep going. Let's get to the next conversation. We'll kick it off with Palantir this morning. And this was a trade that I missed this morning. I'll be honest, guys. I was on the computer nice and early, so we should have been able to nail this, guys. I could see this down there on Palantir, and I got around 5:36 a.m. And I could see this going down towards the 3230s. And I was like, man, this is looking like it's starting to fade. Maybe they won't buy it this morning. And you can see right around the 6 a.m. what happened there. On that pullback, we got a nice little jump in volume right here. You got about 28,000 shares that started to come in as someone took a shot there around the 32 spot. They said, well, I'm looking for 32s, but you know what? I don't think I'll get it. I'm ready to jump in. 32.15s. They started adding into the 22s, and then you can see it here on, I think, a bigger ad here. This was a bigger shot here as you saw more volume start to come in. And then now the real buying starts to come in. Now, where they really took it was here. And I don't think that's the same trader. Now you're starting to get to the point where more traders start to join the party. And why is Palantir moving, of course? Well, Palantir is moving as Palantir, Dell. Of course, we'll be looking also at Dell. Let's take a look at the action there. And we're going to be taking a look also at Erie. And I don't know this one too much, ERIE, but they're all joining the S&P 500 today, replacing American Airlines, replacing Etsy. and also replacing bio. So all these will be removed. So they'll look like they're down on the action. American, you can see the first downside action in the after hours. It's actually almost back to 11. But if we take a look at Dell's now starting to turn around here. And I think that Dell's an actual play to look at now, guys. I think this is a nice little pop. If we could have a comeback Monday where we get a move back up, this is one that will be in play. I think Palantir is kind of a little bit higher right now. It does have more retail love than Dell. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But if we can recover 107 today, I'll keep Dell on watch. I don't think it's a reaction before that, but if we recover that 107, keep an eye on it, team. We'll see what happens there. Let's keep it going, traders. You guys know where you're at. It's trade the pool, guys. Get after it. You guys know that you guys can be getting up to 260,000 in buying power. Of course, check it out, guys. Get funded. Of course, we had a funded trader on just yesterday on Friday, right? And so we're going to continue bringing on more traders. I'm looking to have on some more traders even today, guys. So if you guys are out there, are looking to get onto the show, hey, reach out to me, right? Shout out to the Dolphins there, getting a nice little victory. Let's keep things going here. Let's take a look at the next thing in the Sunrise Report. We'll go to Boeing, right? You guys know how I talk about Boeing, guys. And you guys know how I'm pretty bearish on this company. I think in the long run, this is still a short opportunity right now in the pre-market, and it's still fading right now. Just got to pop to 168. One thing to keep in mind, guys, is that the Starliner is still up in space, right? And I've heard so many countless reports, and this weekend we get some more articles to come out about engineers saying that they're concerned about the thrusters on Starliner, and that's essentially the reason why they didn't return with the astronauts in it, right? Because if they bring it down right now, they don't know how long they will have control of those thrusters, or will they be at full capacity. So I read into this a little bit. I get a little bit more science geeky into it. Of course, it looks like there's kind of like a ring that got affected by temperature that actually caused it to compress on, of course, where it's getting the fuel from. And this is actually when it was launched off in space, because it was activated the thrusters in space again, this actually loosened that up again. So it's kind of going back and forth between that tightened with heat, and then in the cool vacuum of space, of course, it kind of released a little bit. So they don't know exactly how the thrusters will perform. And this is the major concern. Thus, my concern for the stock. If for some reason something goes wrong with this, and I'm not saying that I'm bearing bad wishes here, but at the end of the day, I don't trust Boeing. I don't think they got this right, and they might have some more issues here. If something goes wrong with that, that could be really catastrophic. I even heard really bad scenarios where they're like, there was an article. It even said it. It said that they're trying, when they release it from the International Space Station, they're going to push it fast. They want to get it away from the International Space Station as much as possible, because they don't know how those thrusters are truly going to work. We'll see what happens here in Boeing. Can it get another down hit as I see XLI start to come down? Take a look at this action. But of course, Boeing is getting a nice little up move today, and I'm talking about the negative, but let's talk about the reason why it popped this much. Is that this weekend they were able to strike a deal with the IAM, the aerospace workers, the machinists. They successfully negotiated a labor agreement that would avoid a strike. The deal also include a 25% wage increase over 4 years, though. Improvements to healthcare and retirement benefits. Boeing's pledge to build the next airplane in the Pacific Northwest. A vote to agreement. The schedule is on the 12th. So keep your eyes on this. It will avoid a potential strike that could have started after Thursday. So a lot of traders were already probably betting to the downside, because if they would have gotten into union concerns, I mean, that would have been further downside hit. But the question here is, maybe that's a 25% wage increase actually a negative for them? Find out, traders. We'll see how it trades today. Let's keep it moving. Let's get out of Boeing. Let's go now to Merck, and we'll go over to Summit. So we'll take a look at that action as Summit. Let's go. SMMT is making a huge leap up this morning, guys. I'm not going to lie. I missed out on a short on this. Wanted to see a nice little short on this. I was watching it at 19. It started to break 19. I didn't go after it, and I could have. This went down there to 15.84. So really nice trade there. And why is Summit up? Well, they got the good news here as they're getting a nice little push, and Merrick is also getting a hit down on this after their lung cancer. Summit Therapeutics gets a nice little big move as their key product is clinically meaningful benefit compared to Merrick's Keytruda here for lung cancer. And so Summit, really nice move on this. I think we're going to continue to watch Summit today. It's making an hourly long pullback that I think is something to watch here. If it can recover 16.27s, I'd keep an eye on that level. You could make it all the way back there to 20 today at some point. So that's definitely in reach. You have a nice little big push here. Now you're getting a washout going sideways, giving you some levels. I got to see a nice recovery towards like the 1660s. Start to show me that you want to make your way back. Summit, we'll keep an eye on you towards the open here and towards the trading action. And the last one I want to talk about is ARM and Apple, as ARM is getting a lift in the pre-market. And why is it moving? Because the stock is rising after the Financial Times revealed that Apple plans to use ARM's AI chip and the technology in the iPhone 16 set to be unveiled today, team. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see what else is on this move. Can Apple continue to lift with the iPhone coming out today? I'll tell you what, it's going to be a really interesting day because there's also negative news out there that, of course, there's competition in China. Right? China has multiple cheaper phones that are now available over there that are competing with the iPhone. And we know how important iPhone sales are in China. Of course, here in the US, I never see the iPhone really struggling. So that will be positive news. But the truth is, at the end of the day, you could see some negative outlook come in here as you start to see maybe China news out there. But it's going to be all about bounce back Monday or not. Is it bounce back Monday? I'm calling it out there. I'm gonna go with a yes. I'm gonna go with the bounce back Monday today, guys. So get ready, team, because I feel like today could be an up day. Of course, what we'll do is be objective. Pay attention to key hourly levels. But if we get a quick ramp, I'm going to try to run on the momentum, take quick trades, and then look to see if we get a continued momentum move because it could be swings back and forth. It's good to see you out there. What's going on? Yeah, let's go. And this is the real one, guys. This is that embroidered jersey, not the cheap stuff, not the printed stuff, they don't even make these anymore. I'm so upset. The new jerseys are garbage, man. Well, that's another conversation. Let's get to the stock market trading action, guys. And guys, I'm gonna tell you guys right off the start. I did take a hit here today to start it off, and sometimes you're gonna start it off with a hit, guys. So can't be too upset about this because the truth is that hey, I went after it. I went a little bit bigger as I'm looking to size up this week. I know that I had a really good last month of trading. I had a red week last week, a small one, but looking to push it to that next level this week, right? And so I just been kind of getting some consistency under my belt. And I got to understand that as I size up, the hits are going to be just a little bit bigger. So I sized up a little bit, double sizing today, went to INBS, was taking a nice position on this, was looking for this to come back, and it could still come back on the day. But it did wash out on this 15 minutes, and the 15-minute pattern was looking really well here, especially around this kind of 265. I was in at 269. That's the only issue that I had. I should have been closer towards 261, but the way that I saw it, it was only about 10 cents. But one thing that you got to keep in mind with these smaller plays, right? These like $2 stocks is that these are the type of plays that can make or break your account, guys. And so one of the things is be careful with sizing too big too early. And that's one habit that I'm really working on. I still went up to 600 shares. The idea was to eventually get to maybe 1,000 shares on this. But hey, That's one thing to think about, right? Did I just get too big too quickly? Should have been looking for the break of the 280. The break of the 280 on this is going to be really interesting during the live action. But that's enough of a little bit of a sneak preview of what we talk about every single day. Now let's get to the live trading action. You guys know what time it is. Start that countdown, get it started. You guys know it's Trade the Pool, and I'm ready to get after it this week.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What's going on, traders? Got to set up, of course. Trade the pool, baby. Get it right. Let's go. Let's get after it today, guys. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool, ready to go ahead and get into some trades. Get after it. Size up and not worry about one loss, right? We're always going to take a little bit of a hit. We got a battle today. This IMBS will still be on my radar. I still see it kind of get in a nice little push there towards the 325. This one also had good news, right? I can take a look at the news. I know it's kind of some drug news, which is a positive news there. And it doesn't look bad at all, guys. I like the way the setup is. I think you saw some reloading in the 255s. Then you saw big order fill around the 245s. That's one area that I saw, and I was wondering, would we recover that? We just recently recovered that to the 250s here, so I'm not going to overreact early. I'm definitely going to be looking for the pop back towards the 265 and the 270s, and then looking for maybe a scalp through the 280s towards the 3 and above. We'll see what happens there in INBS. The way that I'm going to play this is I'm going to set an alert. I got an alert right now to 262 levels. I'll let you guys know if it gets through that. And big thing here, guys. I feel like it's an important one, guys. So you traders out there that are tuning in right now, one of my major things that I really want to be doing for you guys is I love the alert system that we have right here for Trade the Pool's platform. So I have them set right there on the chart. If you guys don't know how to do that, of course, hit your settings, go down to the on the left-hand side, you'll see alerts. Then make sure you have the alerts clicked on so that you can click them on right onto the chart. I think this is one of the best features that you can be using, right? Because if you're looking for a stock to break a certain level and you're not able to go ahead and get after it because why? Because you missed a move and you didn't set that alert. Well, set the alert, my friend. Get it ready. The advantages here by Trade the Pool is giving you is by letting you know immediately when that gets to move. And the best part is some of these alerts, you can even set them up to be actual buys, so that when it does break that level, you're already getting a little piece. Of course, in my education there, I'd be trying to go really small on that first piece, but there's nothing wrong, because if you're looking for breakout levels and you're getting that breakout, why not join the party? Interesting way to go about it. So you guys in the chat, throw up stocks you guys want and levels you guys want to be alerted. Of course, I'll just be letting you know that it's breaking a level, not telling you that that's the level to watch for, but it's something that it can definitely help you with. So throw it up in the chat, guys. We'll see some comments out there. I'll be looking for it. Let's go. Let's get after it. All right, let's take a look at what else we can get here. Please ask Uncle Mike to reset my daily pause. I got you, my friend. Hit the comments. Another area is go to the customer service if you're having some issues with those daily pauses. But like always, man, I know the strong issues and the hurt off of a daily pause. On Friday, I had pretty hard hit, guys. So let's bounce back, guys. Let's get back after it this week. And the number one thing, find your habit that you've been making improvements on, that you want to continue making improvements on, and not take a step back this week. We're going to take a step forward in that. Of course, that's starting small and then getting big in the nice winner that we have. Because on average, team, the truth is this, guys, and I'm going to take a second away from the trading because I think that this really can make a move here, is that what I've noticed more and more is that you're gonna lose a couple of times, a lot of times in trading. Like a lot of traders are like, let's say somewhere between, let's say 30 to about 70% accurate. There is some traders that get up to like 90, 80% accurate, but majority of them I think are going to fall between that. And so what you got to do is understand that if I'm, let's say, 50% accurate, right? Half of my trades I'm losing, half of my trades I'm winning. All I need to do is kind of stay small on the ones that just aren't really working as they're like kind of still dropping down. Let's say if it's a long, I'm getting in and the stock's going below that level. I got to stay small until it gets past my level. And then if it comes back to my level, break even out. This is where I got to make improvements this week, right? So I've been doing pretty good on this, staying small on this side and then stepping up to the plate when it goes back into the green. But what happened on last week that was a mistake is that it went back to that break even and that it didn't cut out. If I cut out to that trade and it starts to come back up, it's okay to get back in with a big size and go for a scalp type of trade. Or it's okay to look for a little bit of a down move down. It comes back to support, and then I can get back into the trade with a move and a stop below that, right? And I can start with a smaller size and work it back as it gets back to the resistance. These are the slight moves that I want to make improvements on and speed-wise. Of course, this is going to take more execution. So let's see if we can work on that. All right, let's keep going. Morning. Will IMBS hit pre-market highs? We'll see. It's all about the big picture. 100%, Steph. Come on, SINT. Looking for 598. Let's go take a look at SNINT. All right, we're at 559. Actually, nice little pop on this one. Of course, medical care device, and it has a nice support around, let's say, the 540s. So that's kind of the area where I've seen the pullback come back to a couple of times. So let's go to a shorter time frame here and see what's going on in the shorter time frame action. You can see we just recently had a pop there. Let me go to the 1 minute here. You got a nice little move here on a pattern, right? This was the rule of three pattern breakout. Now you're trying to recollect and get back up there. It's kind of in a little bit of a battle right now. It's trying to hold this level, this 560s. So it needs to go back up there to the 590s. It has the potential. It reloaded here. It went back to 550s, shook out of this kind of little 1 minute bearish pattern, and now starting to make a move. Recollecting at the 9 is a pretty good level. Now you need to see volume come in there. Let's get the level 2 on this. This actually doesn't look too bad here. SNINT now towards the 575s. You guys can see some buys coming in there about 1,800, 1,500. There's a big bidder here that's going to probably pull back to like a magnet. 551. Pretty interesting though. 47,000 shares there. So big level to watch there. Definitely went through that level. And you can see the 551 there. It's helping it. It doesn't want to come back to it right now. There it goes to the 580s. Next stop is 592. So you're getting your shot there. It's almost there, Jane. We'll see if it gets up there towards that level. Definitely looking strong right now in SNINT. And so there you guys having that nice approach there on the 15-minute high right there, 592s, 590s. So that's where you find repeat sellers. Let's see if we find a repeat seller there. And there's the 585s. So 590s and 585s acting as resistance right now for the stock on SNINT. And this is Syntex Technologies. We'll look to see if we make a rip through the 590s. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool, guys. Do me the favor. Take a second. Smash that like. And let's keep it going, team. All right. SNINT. Open up there on the 595, 590. Now the top there is 597. 599. I think it looks primed to maybe at least tap it. We'll see if we're able to get through 6. But big lift there. Really nice lift off there from the 560s. That magnet of 551. Let's see if it shows back up. Remember that big bidder? It's gone now. Let's see if it comes back here. All right, guys. Another thing that, of course, you guys might want to take a look into using, guys, and I'll just show you this in the pre-market. I don't use it too often, but I wanted to show it, guys, every single week. Is there any way that I can help you guys learn how to trade on the Trade the Pool platform more? Don't forget to use maybe the Super Dom, right? The Super Dom, right? You can see it here. It's pretty much the ladder with these orders, right? So you see this 589, right? You see the 2000, right? So it's essentially like this level 2 window, but a little bit better. Why? Because you can actually move down and see if people are placing orders like really far away, right? This 595, right? I can start seeing where these things are going, and you can actually place orders here and watch your order, your amount, I actually like this window a little bit better than maybe even the level 2, right? But you got to recenter it sometimes, right? You're going to have to hit here, recenter, and then that should help you kind of get the window back to the middle of where the bid and the offer are. So you guys see right here, of course, the offers in the red, the blue. Well, hey, check it out, guys, a super dom. Of course, you guys can find that right there in your terminal section. So if you guys haven't checked it out, guys, hey, there's other ways to use it. And if you guys have any question or want to find a new way to use the platform, let me know, guys. Another thing that I wanted to use, of course, is more alerts for you guys. So let me know. I do have them set up there, of course, on my trading screen. And of course, you guys know I use I use TC. I use different kind of services that I like to use. TC is just one of my old school favorites, guys. I'm probably always going to use them, but we'll see what happens today, guys. Can we get some bounce back on the sectors? That's what I'm really watching also. That's an important area, right? Real estate is an area that we can definitely look for some continued upside. So one way to do it, guys, just to make it easy for yourself, look at the strong names, guys. Look to see if the strong names continue. So I go here in this sector, right? And I just put it up by RSI 14, right? I can go to the daily or weekly. Daily is what I'm looking at just to see momentum. And this clearly shows momentum, right? Of name like VTR. Look at the momentum in VTR, just continuing to the upside. Real estates, this is in the healthcare facilities. So really nice move there in VTR. Near the top though, so just be careful, but we'll see if this can continue. Just looking through these to see what is actually showing up, what shows up here that, stands out to me, right? There's going to be moves sometimes that just stand out to you. And this one's not looking too bad. This SUI, as it starts to come back, this is a residential REIT, right? Doesn't look too bad at all there. Let's see here if I can see another one that makes sense to me. American Healthcare. So a lot of healthcare REITs doing really well. This is just a strong bad boy. And continuing. Very similar to that first one that we looked at, BTR. So we'll see what happens here. What about public storage? Man, this has been a big run for public storage. I remember I was taking a look at this early into the summer months, right? As I know that in the summer months, you usually get more people that get storage. That was a good outlook there. That was in the 290s. That's why I have some levels here. I just created this on July 22nd. That's when I was talking public storage last time. And the stock was just right around here. So the stock was literally right here on this candle right here. So that's when we were talking about it. And look at that, man. That's made an incredible lift. We'll look to see if that continues the strength. I was looking at other ones in that space too to see how those would move. But just an interesting space overall when you talk REITs, right? So keep your eyes on that action. We'll see what other ones can move here to see if we get any continued lift. Some heavy diversified ones. Let's go to CCI. Here's one that I'll give you guys that looks interesting, right? Because now we get a cup and handle after this broke the trend line, which was a nice trend line. We created this on the 12th. So to put it in perspective, that was when the stock was down here. So it's been making a nice move, right? So now can it continue? It is. It's holding the 9 and continuing. We'll look to see if this Crown Castle can make a move here. What about DLR? Maybe makes a continued up move. It just recently pulled back, looking a little heavy right now. And then we'll look to see if there's some other ones that make a move here. I'll be watching some real estate here as consumer defensives are another area to look at. Confectioners, guys, what about Mondelez? That's continuing the strength as we go into the Halloween run. We talked about this one just last week. So let me know which one you guys like. There's SNINT 598. There you go, Jane. There you go, Jane. Look at that, 601. Talked about when we get close to that 6. Now what would happen there? And you can see a little slowdown here as we hit that 6 and now are pulling back. But good level, way to get out of there and way to not to be greedy. Looking for maybe like 7 or something like that. I like the out, Jane. Hey, way to get it. Take it and run. Can't be mad about that. Men, what the H with the 60 seconds rule? I left gains because of this. Well, the truth is, man, it's just 60 seconds, man. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the 60-second rule, man. I think I use it all the time, and you see me using trades. So if you're going for something that's maybe so big that 60 seconds, you can't wait for 60 seconds. well, then maybe at that point, I think you really need to think about maybe you're too big, right? Like maybe I just need to size down a little bit so I can wait for a little bit more of the move. Because if it's just for pennies, that's not necessarily what this is set up for, right? So, Lewis, it's okay to be a little upset, man. I get you, but the truth is, the 60-second rule is what it is. You'll see me trade the VIXI that moves maybe 20 cents, 30 cents. You're just gonna have a stock that's gonna move at least 20, 30 cents, right? And in 1 minute, I mean, come on, that's 60 seconds, man. That goes by like this. Me talking right now, just about it, probably 60 seconds. But let's keep going, guys. Let's go. All right, Jane, you keep having a good day. Keep having the mentality. Let's stay focused. Let's stick to our rules today, guys. Of course, I'm expanding a little bit this week, so I do have a 186 rule. I did take a 186 hit, so I'm trying to push it, right? The losses 150 to 200, but the gains I should try to make here are going to be to the upside now. I was doing towards like 300, 400. I'm looking for 600 gains, right? $600 gains. But there's going to be times where I have to run towards like 400, right? But there's going to be also times where I have to cut below the 100, right? And that's the important thing. If I can cut below 100 on a couple of trades, that's going to keep my mathematical advantage in my favor. Keep the mathematics right here, guys. Stay focused. Don't lose execution focus. Let's see what we got here. Maybe Dell too much. We'll see, guys. We'll see. SNIT now to 516, 517s. Did get up there towards the 620s. Slowly climbing here in the pre-market. SMMT. We'll see if this gets going again. I talked about it through 1627s. It's actually interesting for me. And I think this will definitely have some views, right? I mean, if it's going to fix lung cancer, I mean, I don't think it's going to fix it. But if the drug really did that great for lung cancer, it could get a nice lift out the gates. Keep your eyes on it. We'll see what happens there. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Summit. Let's see if it gets back above, the 1627. All right, guys, I set an alert there at 1628, so let me know if that happens. BLMZ. What about BLMZ, guys? You guys like these smaller plays? I know you guys are looking at them. We're going to go looking at tech right now in just a second, guys. BLMZ just made a spike there recently at 815 to 250s at the 220s. Doesn't look too bad. Nice little pullback here. Ooh, looking nice on the pattern, guys. I actually kind of like the pattern here, guys. So you got a nice little kind of flagging pattern here, but I'm going to call this a pennant. Why is it a pennant, right? Because you got the trend lines coming to the middle, and now you're getting this kind of make it or break it stage. So above this kind of 222s, it looks prime for the breakout towards the 230s. Of course, you got to understand the risk here. And on the 5 minute, you're looking for this kind of 216 area to hold, 215 area to hold. Of course, you came from a 210 support, now trying to kind of break above this level. There's the 220s looking good here in the pre-market already. BLMZ, get there towards the 221s, looking good here. I might join the party on this BLMZ. This actually looks pretty prime here to get the run. What? We're in the 913s. Will this run towards 930s? Will it wait to 930? I might not wait for it, guys. I might try to take a shot right now. But let's take a look to see if it can make that push above the 222s here. Looking to see the levels and the volume coming in here. Doesn't look that bad. Of course, the pullback could be the 210s. So understanding that the 210s is your support, short-term support around the 215s. Let's see if this can get a nice little move back above the 222s, going towards the 230s. The big thing here, though, is that the flag pattern is about what? We got about 81 cents here from the breakout. So I think maximum profits on this is around $3. So you got to understand that. That's about 28% higher, though. This Bloom Z. Can this get to the next level here, guys? All right, guys. Are you usually day trading or scalping? Isn't that the same thing? But that would be considered the same thing, Javi. Day trading or scalping. I actually do a lot of swing trading too. So those are the two things that I do here: day trading and swing trading, not scalping. Scalping is a strategy inside of day trading. But just to clarify there. Let's keep looking here. Now you're towards that 220s. Now you're starting to get the lift here. Now it looks actually pretty primed to get that move above the 217s would be your risk here. So I'm going to go for a really quick risk here and see if we can at least make some money back here. Let's do a tight risk here because it's 217s. That's only about what, 4 cents risk if we get it here at 221s. Let's see if we can go ahead and see this start to lift here. I'm seeing the volume. Not seeing too much volume react real quickly here. And so I wanted to see some buy volume coming in here. I'm getting ready for the 222s if I have to step up here towards the 22s. But right now, starting to see a little bit of volume there, but still not the takeoff moment just yet. Not seeing the momentum just yet. Could pull back to the 218 first and then make the move. So I'm keeping that in mind here. 222s is available. Let's see what happens here. 222 is available. There's 224s. Now it starts to get a little bit of a push there. There's 2,000 shares going through in a bunch of different orders there. Now starts to make the move here to the 224s. Could see the pullback towards the 222s just yet. Let's see if we get that pullback to the 222s here, and then it really starts to make the move. Here's 226. I'm putting my order out at the 222s there. Just put the order out there at the 222s for any slight pullback here. Now towards the 230s, it's starting to make the move there. We saw the setup there. Now the volume coming in there. You see the volume now, 130,000 shares. That's what I was really looking for with the volume takeoff there. And now you're getting that volume. Now I'm trying to get that dip buy towards the 222s. You saw a slight dip there. No fill on that pullback as you're starting to get the move here. Now I get that quick fill. This is what we call a pop fill. 222s right there, guys. There we go. Now $7.50 there. I'm long 500 shares at the 222s. Let's see if we can get this to pop through here. And I'll sell it at the 217s if I need to. But let's see if we can get the pop here. 250s. Start to get a little pop here. Let's go. All right, guys. Got the out order if I need to. Got to go ahead and make sure that I'm ready to go ahead and take some profits if needed too. I'll take about 350s on the first pop. See if we can get back there towards the 250s. All right, 224s here. The 9 EMA really going to be important and vital here for us to make a nice little lift here. There's the 24s. Now we're going to look for to take out the 230s. 230s, very important. We start to look to the right-hand side. I see the 228s. Not looking too bad there. Let's go. Next level to really look for kind of some resistance touch is the 37. So looking good right now for the prime move there. Up about $22, nothing much. Let's see if we can get a little pop here. 228s there. BLMZ, guys, taking it early, guys. Let's go. All right, guys. My best day trades are when I get in around 10 a.m. and just before the close. Basically, the trade that lasts the whole day almost. Rando. So vital in the information you just put there. I would have to agree with you also, my friend. For right now, it's lately been pre-market trades that have done me well. And then it's like that 10 a.m. trade, that 11 a.m. trade. So I agree with you, my friend. Not a bad outlook to look at. And you got to look at your time in trade sometimes to see if maybe you just trade better in a certain time of day. This could help you out. You never know, guys. And you guys tuning in right now, all of you guys, take a moment, guys. Showing you guys it all this morning, telling you guys the order, 222. We got that pop fill. Let's see if we can get this BLMZ to really kind of make a nice little breakout here. What we want to see is that volume fill. So you saw how we got a nice little volume right back towards the high of this candle right here, 229. Now we need to see the 230s taken out with another kind of volume pop. That'd be the breakout. So you see how the volume's collecting right now on the pullback, and there's some volume available on the bid here. Now I want to see when we come back towards the 230s, do we get that nice little breakout in the volume? MACD looking good there on the cross. On the 1 minute, let's go to the 5 minute, see if we get a cross there. So a lot of times when I get a cross on the 1 minute, this is a strategy within itself. Can you get the cross on the 5 minutes? So 1 minute confirmation. So if it crosses on the 1, look to see if it crosses on the 5 as a conviction style play. So you see how the 5 is still a little ways away from it. If it starts to make that move towards like 235 or 240s, I could see this cross happening and showing you what conviction that you're in the right play, and the timing is set. So a lot of times what indicators should be used for, and I think it's important for that, is to look for conviction in the indicator, not for entry. So like, let's say for this instance, I didn't get in on the MACD break. Of course, that was back down here, the 215. I'm getting in a little slightly above that, looking for the breakout. As I start to look for it, what I'd want to see is the expansion start to happen here, not the touch. So it could just touch it and then bounce, which is still a capable move, right? But what I'm looking for is expansion away, light blue, away from the yellow. All right, guys, we'll see what happens here. It's right back towards my entry here. So let's see if we get the lift off. Now we're going back to the VWAP. We'd want it to hold VWAP as we start to break, because we broke above VWAP. Now I'm looking for VWAP to hold here and take the next move. Let's see if we get that push. And you see how this starts to curve. I want this to curve back here and just take a move back to the upside. So those are the two options right now that I'm looking at, and situational thinking is so important, traders. Do you ever cut losses or switch your entry direction, long or short, just to adjust risk? No, I don't do the reverse trade, but I do cut losses. Switching directions can happen, if just depending on the stocks themselves. But a lot of times what I'll do is, let's say I'm trading like SOXL, and for some reason it just doesn't look right, and then I can go and trade maybe SOXS. You know what I mean? Things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, guys, Mustafa, what's going on out there? Be careful trading SMMT, especially in the long side, because even through the news, it's pretty good. If you look at the 1-year chart, you will see the good news might have already been priced in. I agree with you, Mustafa. It's not a bad one. The real trade, I think, was this morning. It was a nice short opportunity at that 19. I just didn't have the, you know what, to get after it. But let's get back to BMMZ here. Let's see what happens here, guys. Just trying to keep a close eye on this as we get closer towards the bell. It's 9:21, guys. Do me the favor, smash the like. Let's get it going. In a second, I'm going to bring in Richard here, as I've been taking this trade, lost in a little bit, you know, kind of on the focus out there, but ready to get after it, guys. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on Richard here in just a second. Richard Z, guys. This guy is going to be interesting. We'll talk a little bit about some indicator action out there. Let's go ahead. Let's bring him on. I think he's on audio only. Can you hear me, Richard?
I can. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. What's going on? And it's good to have you on. I'll go ahead and let me go ahead and give you a little avatar, at least, so I can see you here.
Thanks, man.
Avatar here, and let me put it like this here. There you are.
Yep, there it is.
All right, what's going on, man? It's good to have you on the show. Welcome to it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I was just looking at Summit per the
nice.
comment, and
yeah, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what you got here. You got your chart up. I'm putting it up there for you. I am going to mute your screen audio just in case something comes on to like your computer there. But if you want your screen audio on, just let me know. We can bring it back.
Oh no, it's completely fine. Thank you so much. Honestly, I don't have much to add here, but I would always advise caution when playing biotech, because even though showing biotech was how Martin Shkreli made his money, biotech is still, as I call it, the black tar. Well, you know what I mean. The black tar drug of stocks. So it's very hard to predict unless you have a degree in biochemistry. So once again, play it safe with biotech.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, biotechs will give you a heart attack every night when you wake up, man. Because you never know what can happen at 4 a.m. They post out some news, and all of a sudden it's up 20% or it could be down 20%. But yeah, that's the truth.
Got destroyed.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Destroyed. And the funny part was, I was looking at Summit when it was trading down there at like 7 or 8. We actually traded it here. And it just started stair-stepping its way higher. And I was like, is this ever going to come down? Now I know why it didn't come down. All the investors were waiting for this drug news and expecting it to happen. It could be a blow off top today. It could never go back to 19. right? So I do appreciate the warnings out there for traders out there. And I agree. I'm just looking to see if it pops through that's like 17, 1650s. Like, show me the sign that you really want to wake up. Then it's like, all right, well, let's go pay attention. So what else will you be looking at today? I know that you do like kind of some indicator work and things like that, but let's just take it as a simple outlook. What are you looking into the market today? Tell us a little bit about yourself, Richard, and what you're looking at.
All right, so I used to do some quant stuff on the side, and my indicator was basically an earnings beat indicator. It was very simple, really. It kind of combined fundamentals with short-term trading. And what it did was, I can pull it out right here, and this would be the fundamentals layout. This is actually a linear regression on an economic data set and earnings data. And so my premise was, since economic data was published more frequently than earnings data, you could theoretically predict how, or extrapolate how, the next earnings report is going to go. Now, the model doesn't have a 100% win rate, right? There are misses. But mostly I dropped this because recently, even though you could predict earnings correctly, in the end, the market just wouldn't react to earnings the way you wanted it to. Like, you can have really good earnings, and the stock still goes down. In the end, this is a market that very much prefers technicals and positioning over fundamentals, I'd say. So look at your charts and probably put less weighting on fundamentals for now.
I definitely agree. Definitely, you got to go ahead and use multiple indicators. That's what I really think. At the end of the day, by using multiple types of indicators, right? Like I always talk about it, there's like 4 main variables that I try to focus on. I try to read a lot of like retail sentiment. I try to read fundamentals, technicals, and especially the market overall. But when you can combine fundamentals and also take a look at it and then have a good chart, I mean, that's going to give you the conviction plays, right? So that's a great way to look at it. The market, though, it's been a tough market as of late. Will we see some downside come into the market today? I mean, that's definitely something to look out for.
Personally, I feel like this is a dead cat bounce. I mean, it's just coming off of instinct. But
yeah, it's a definitely recover Monday. I talked about it. Would it be that day? It could be.
It might. But I don't see a support. I do see a kind of a support here, but it blew through that on Friday. So I'm not really sure if it's going to recover or not. But, pre-market is always on low volume. I mean, sure, it can make money on pre-market, which is a very good idea, obviously. But once market opens, we can never really gauge how the market is going to go based on pre-market data.
I definitely agree with that. Pre-market's something, there's a whole nother thing once the market opens here. And I think you're going to have a little bit of a shake, right? I mean, it's already had a gap up move. And I think that what you'll see a lot of the times, and this is a known strategy in swing trading, it's like a buy the close on a really weak day and then sell it at the open. This is a known trade. It's like statistically known to work. So a lot of traders actually take it, right? Especially swing traders. Or they'll, on the opposite, right? A really, really strong day expected to gap down the next day. So they'll sell the close and they'll buy the open, right? Things like that. I think you'll see right out the gates. And because of that, we could get a little bit of an opening shake and then the move. So that's what I'll be looking for also, is to just kind of maybe play it to the sideline. Maybe look at the penny names early. Those are the ones that I feel like can move early. And then, yeah, you can kind of catch a big move. But other than that, I'll be watching the big caps to see what happens there in technology. Of course, NVIDIA will be the big watch again, as it continues to be the big watch. Because if NVIDIA just starts all of a sudden getting strong, that's a good sign that the market wants to run.
I mean, for one, NVIDIA, it's looking very pretty right now. Because as you can see, we have support at 98. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's actually making a move right now. It's not looking too bad at all right now, guys. So we'll take a look at it right now. Let's take a little quick peek there. NVIDIA, I'm seeing it jump right now. That's the nice little 1 minute. And the last 4 minute candles straight to the upside. The Q's doing the same thing. So they're getting a jump right on it right now, right? So let's see if this continues to move. Apple's going to be definitely on the watch. But definitely keep an eye out there, guys. We could see a little bit of a move to the upside today. AMD is another momentum type of play. So when we do get bounce back, this is one to look at. But We'll see what happens here, guys. It'll be an interesting one. Also, TSM, and that one's also making a big leap. So SMH is one way to get exposed to a lot of these names. That is heavily weighted in what? NVIDIA, TSM, and also a beaten down one, AVGO, right? So AVGO is really beaten down. Maybe this starts to work its way back as a stock to look at today. We'll see what happens on AVGO. Back up above the 140s, it could start to climb a little bit.
For AVGO, you can see that it's quite a clear support right here. So
yeah,
indeed, it might bounce back.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, right? It's one of those names where it's so beaten down, it could bounce. Did your stock ever hold VWAP? Let's get back to it. Let's go take a look at BLMZ. It's right there, right? So you're like getting that, I'm getting that test right now. And it's slight penny on the VWAP. So right there at that point, you see on the 5 minute here, and here's the opening. That's where I got to pay attention here, guys. Now we're getting that opening look here. Got to be careful here, and got to know my risk here. Towards the open, I'm more to open towards that 100 risk, and just got to push down towards the 210 support. So I'm looking right now to maybe risk off of the 206 level here. I'm going to put the risk out there right now, 206 on the bid. You can see it right now off that bid right there. So I'm going to get an attempt here towards the 206 here. That could cut me out here, but I'm towards the 206, 205 on the stop. Let's see if this starts to come back, working its way towards the 216. We'll be watching the overall market there too. NVIDIA pull back out the gates there. IVP will move down. Summit starting to get going there. 1620s on Summit. So there's Summit to 1650s. There it goes to 1670s. That's what I was looking at for the signal in Summit. Above the 1650s, 1620s. I could look for pullbacks in Summit to see if I can join the party here. I already got my risk set there for BLMZ, so I'm going to let it go here and start focusing here on Summit. Let's see if I can get this opportunity here. It just went to the 27 there, gave me an opportunity there. I'm going to try to get back at the 27s here. Let's see if I can get the fill here. Nope, fill back on that pullback. Was a little slow to it, so I'm looking for a nice little pullback fill here on Summit. I'll let you guys know if I do get that. Just got stopped out there in BLMZ, and that's how it goes sometimes. Took the trade there, a little bit more risk than I wanted to. Still got out there at the 205, still in the underneath the 100 spot there. Summit's the one that I want here, but now I got to look for pullbacks, as I was not able to get filled on that quick pullback that came back towards the 31. So can't really be too mad about it. Was off of there by like maybe 2 or 3 cents. I wanted 27s. And it went to the 31s when it pulled back on that quick pullback. So let's see if I can get the pullback now back towards the 1620s here. Doesn't look too bad if I could get it back there. I'm going to hang out here and see if I can get a little bit of a pullback fill. Don't want to jump up too quickly there, because if you get caught up here at the 1680s, move back to 1620s, and I'm feeling the pressure really quickly here. We'll see what happens if I get a pullback fill. Q's straight up out the gates. That's what I'm seeing out there. All right, here's Summit on the pullback. Let's see if I can get a quick little pullback fill here back towards the 1620s, and that'll be a nice little risk. I can risk off of like the 16s. That's about 20 bucks risk, small on this name, and I'd like to get bigger. We'll see what happens there. Palantir, of course, on the radar after that S&P 500 ad, and there you guys see it. Palantir up there to 33.10s. We'll look to see if it can continue making the move. Could get some pullback. Another one to watch there, Dell. We'll see how that how that one moves today. It's on the pullback right now. Financials, looking to see what happens there. XLF on the upside right now, so definitely getting a little bit of a bounce back there. Technology leading the bounce back today, though, right out the gates. We'll look to see if it can continue. Summit on the pullback here. Still no pullback fill there for me. Still got the order out there. Right now I'm about to cancel because it is pulling back here. So sometimes I'll just cancel out and look for the market in as it pulls back here to see where I can get the first fill in. There's 1640s on the bid. Still hasn't come back towards like 1620s. Would like to see a test back there. And then it go. So here it is in the 1660s. Holding well there off the 9 EMA. Just hit the 9 EMA 1640s. Looking still a takeout attempt on the downside. But SMMT looking strong here. 1675s. The alert above the 1620s was a good alert. Maybe it should have been a buy alert, right? So things like that. I've been thinking about. SINT popping nice. All right, there you guys have it. Get after it, team. Trading less can make you more. I agree. All right, guys, there's Summit starting to get up there towards the 1690s. Looks like it wants to take 17s here almost. There it goes to 17. Was not able to get an entry there on Summit. We'll look to see if it continues to run here. Not a bad one on the first action here. Now let's see if it reloads here, but almost 17 there on Summit.
We are consolidating on SPY.
There goes Summit, 17.10, 17.15. So wasn't a bad outlook. There's 17.44s. Wasn't a bad outlook there from the pre-market. Looking for the move above 1630s. And I just didn't get the entry there, guys. Was stuck in the BLMZ. Was kind of watching that out the gates as I was in that. Maybe that was the wrong idea because Summit definitely got a good big push here to 1750s out the gates. SINT up there to 660s, almost 670s there. So held that kind of move, pulled back there towards the 580s. Did do a kind of a slight red move here where it came down to 575 and then recovered that opening 606 price and then went right back up. We'll look to see if it holds the pullbacks towards 620s, 640s. SMMT now starting to pull back after that 1750s push, but it went all the way up to their 1760s. What a push. Broke the Bollinger Band there, so it just shows to show you the strength that's in that SMMT move. Now we'll look to see if it just keeps running. At this point, it does look strong there. I'm just not going to be able to step up here at 1760s, but look at that. Now 1774s. What a move here, guys. That's why it was on the radar, guys. Talked about it potentially has the move there to go to 1920s. So a good risk to return here on this play. Just not taking it out the gates here at the 1620s area where I at least had the levels. Just wasn't able to grab the entry there. All right, looking around, NVIDIA strong out the gates, but could pull back there. So you're having that recovery day right out the gates here. Let's see if we really get a move here as you are seeing some push there. What's in the red? Real estate. Defensive, just slightly green here. We'll see how some of these can continue. All right, what are you seeing out there, Richard?
SPY is currently holding about 545. It's not going up. It's not going down. I think this might be the end of the not the rally for the entire day, but probably the rally for the first half hour of the day.
Yeah, I'm seeing some defensives holding decent there, so we'll see how those are holding. Looking at Walmart, it's on the pullback of the 9 EMA, so could make another lift today through the 77. Let's go looking at my swing trade. I want to take a look there. I'm up on ANF, guys, in the swing trade account, and I'm looking for Abercrombie to continue lower today. We'll see if that can continue. That's some move through 131.
Now, is it just me, or do I feel like today's going to be a red day?
I mean, it's one of those days where you're going to have pressure, I think, on both sides. It's going to try the Bulls. It's going to try the Bears, right? I mean, it's going to try both sides. I think it's one of those days where it's a make it or break it type of day, right? And so I think right now you're seeing a lot of traders taking just the recovery out the gates here. And then we'll see if they sell it back at like 9:45, 10 o'clock. That's going to be an important level to see if you can hold. And when they drive it right before the open, that always affects things too, right? So all right, guys, let's see if I can bounce back on the day, guys. Definitely had 2 losses this morning, so gotta bounce back, guys. SINT back down towards 6, held it, then came right back up. It's moving all around there, the SINT, guys. INBS, what's up with that one? Back through the 270s. It's almost up there towards the 280s. So we'll see what happens on this INBS if it can really move today. At least started to get the good move, just hasn't really made a kind of a breakout move. We'll see if this can make a move there towards 3. This doesn't look too bad, the INBS. All right, let's keep it going. Wheeler on the downside of things today. And of course, we've seen how this stock has loved to go up, but maybe today's the day to short this bad boy, as it just made a move there towards the 870s, now starting on the downside. This one's a scary bad boy, I'll tell you that much. So just be careful out there, guys. But I'm liking it to the downside today.
A tip for everybody, remember to check fundamentals. Wheeler has been accused of stock manipulation because it's such a low volume stock. Management is kind of fishy, like it's good to gather some sentiment from people and people that even if you don't know, you can go online and gather some sentiment. And from what I've heard, Wheeler is a fishy company.
I'm short. You sold it to me, man. You sold it. Just joking with you, Richard. No, I agree though. I agree. It is fishy. Fishy's fishy. All right, this is starting to look like a nice head and shoulders breakdown of the neckline. So I'm willing to step up here, but you got to be small first and then looking to get bigger. So I want to see the first reaction start to look real weak on the tape and then try to short pop backs, right? So that's why I'm only short 100 share right now. So like I can handle a squeeze, right? So that's the important thing when you take into a trade like this, is that just make sure that you can handle the squeeze, right? So we'll see what happens here. If I can get a nice short. Summit coming right back down to 17 is an interesting level. I'd like 15-minute pullbacks now back towards like 1650s. Not the 17 level now. I'd like it to pull back a little bit further, and you got to move closer towards there. It's 1664s, so not a move that's too bad there. Let's go back to Wheeler here. Wheeler was actually leading the downside scanner here, and that's why I went after that one on the downside. So trying to play the weakness in it. And it did do this blow off top. That's why I kind of like it. I actually like this move up there towards 870s because it tells me that, you could have shaken out the stops and then now you wash out. So then there's the 770s. Looks good there to the 760s. Now I look to get in near my entry. So 87. So I'm going to look in there towards like 770s, 775s. There's a move to 730s. That's what I want to see on the first reaction. Now I'm looking to get in there. So now I can look to market at like 50 shares each and just look to see when the bid comes up there as I look to start to try to get in here on Wheeler. Of course, Wheeler could always make a comeback, right? You could squeeze. So I'm not going to go insane here. I'm just looking for pullbacks there to the 75s. I have an order out right now, and I'm looking for support moves back. So that's 78s. But if it just washes through 7, am I going to be upset? No, let's just let it keep going, right? I can maybe make $200 on 100 shares. 100 shares sometimes can go a long way, guys. Of course, small now, trying to get bigger as I'm in the green. Now I'm going to use momentum moves back to try to get bigger. All right, guys, taking a look at the Qs. The Qs are pulled back, but still looking strong on the day. If I look over in the overall market, we're still strong. Overall market, just start looking at the sectors and the strength out there. Basic materials is looking strong. That's one area that I didn't expect to see up. So what's strong there is going to be important. Copper, silver, and gold doing well, guys. So GOLD definitely in play today, bouncing back. That's been beaten down, back down towards 19. Maybe now's the move back up. NEM is another one that I like. Newmont Corporation. This one actually pretty decent 15-minute move. So I like this on a pullback maybe towards like 1570s or 1580s. Doesn't look too bad there. NEM. What's up out there, guys? Gather some cinnamon. Let's do it.
Sentiment. Sorry for slurring my speech.
Nah, you're good, my friend. Put a little cinnamon in my cup, too. I need some in my coffee.
Cinnamon's good. But
Down goes Wheeler. Down goes Wheeler.
I know. By the way,
I never
here's-
long Wheeler. I think I'd only be like biased short. That's one thing I'll say. Penny stocks, Javi. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I can trade all types of names, right? The truth is that I try to learn with these smaller names. If I just stuck to like my own game is higher quality names, probably mid caps. That's where I'm really good at. If I looked at my statistics, not necessarily even high caps, mid caps, but Javi, I play it all here, man. And a big part of it is so that you guys can learn from my examples. Am I still trying to get in the green? Hell yeah. I'll tell you that much. You guys will know how much it's important to me to stick to the green. If markets are doing, if markets go red, Boeing might bounce. I think the opposite, really. If markets go red, I think Boeing comes down. But Boeing is bouncing today, 164. We'll see what happens on that. Wheeler coming back here, guys. I did get close to my fill there at the 75s. No fill there when it popped there. That's a little bit interesting. So on that, what do? I raise up my limit on the ad. So the ad could come back to the VWAP. VWAP is 825s. So keeping that in mind, what am I going to do? I'm not going to leave my order out there. I'm going to just pull it up here, see if it comes back on me. But for right now, I'm just looking for it to take down. Hold this $7 because that was a little bit of I expected that pop fill. I had 75s out. It went to 80s on the bid. On the offer, the bid probably didn't get there. And so that's why I didn't get the fill. So now I'm just looking for the takedown through the 7. Once it goes through the 7, then I can look to maybe size up as it starts to really break down here. Just let it keep going, and then I can really work it. The big thing is on the daily chart, Wheeler could come down all the way back towards like $5 and even $4. It could just be a leak all day. So.
Speaking of breakdowns, we're actually seeing one right now in SPY.
Ooh. You think you're seeing the SPY breakdown? Qs are staying strong. That's one thing that's going against the kind of the nature today. I think one thing that's important to watch is the hourly levels. Hourly levels still haven't really closed above. Of course, we'll get the first hour as we kind of wrap up this candle, this first hourly candle. Of course, it closes at 10 a.m. So at 10 a.m., I'm really looking to see if I'm above 544.80s on the SPY or 543.20s on the SPY. So above or below that is going to be very vital. We're at the top end of the range right now in the SPY. It does have the potential to go down. Let's see if it does go down. Summit just hanging out there, guys. I feel like we could still get a little bit of a pullback, but it's just hanging out on the VWAP. Could get taken any which direction here. So it's a hard trade. That's one thing I'll say for certain. That Summit, it makes me want to take the trade there at the VWAP for 17 break to the upside. But I got to also understand that the pullback could be quickly back towards those 1630s. So it's a hard trade there. That's what I would feel. 5 minute puts it closer towards that pullback towards that 1630s. So it depends what time frame you're looking at. IMBS did get to the 80s and then turned right back down towards the 260s. So that one's a little bit harder, but trading near the 5 minute chart. Wheeler, will you get flush for me? Will you get a good flush for me? I'd like to see it get through 7, and then I can stop paying attention to it too much. I could just like kind of set a stop and then let it work. But if I set a stop right now, it's easy to get hunted. So just looking for it to just continue to work. Right now, it's in my favor, but this one's a quick one. So FFIE is another target that's similar to this, right? So like similar to this short squeeze type of name, right? So FFIE getting a little spike there back towards like the 550s is interesting to me. It just was down there to 415. So we'll see what happens. Lay. Okay, not a bad one there. Went to 950s. Biotechs are moving today, man. 950s back to 860s here. So close to $1 on the reward side if it goes all the way back up. It's a little bit of a harder trade there, but that BLMZ stopped me out around the $2. Held the $2 eventually. I got out at the 205. It's back up there to 230s, 240s. So it really wasn't a bad trade there. Just got a little bit kind of, I would say, big off of that. Because the truth is that if we can't hold through that level, and it didn't undercut, it went down to 193. It just washed out a lot of the traders, hit the stops, and then came back through. That's why you got to be able to take a hit sometimes and then just get back in. SINT going for the second move here. It seems like 15 minutes has a nice chart. It's holding well. Let's see if it can break through that 670s. Summit tried to do the spike through the 17s, then came right back. Let's take a look here at Wheeler. Wheeler spiked down there towards the 730s, looking for the next leg down here. Let's see if it can go ahead and just reject this 9 EMA, then make its move through 7. Para. Let's take a look at Para. There's a pullback on that. It's still at the bottom end of the range, but it's not a bad stock. It just doesn't move as much. Let's go to the VIXI. I want to look at the VIXI. I've been able to trade the VIXI pretty well lately. So I'm taking a look here, and I'm not seeing it collapse today. And that tells me something. Like, maybe look for reversals to the upside. But it is, I mean, it's red, but it's barely red. Qs are still staying strong. Qs are making a move to the upside here. There's the Qs to 454s, guys. So Soxel still in play here for the reversal. Actually looks interesting for me if it just wants to make a big move to the upside. Let's just see what happens here. Nvidia's on the pullback. 105 still available to it. Will we get some upside move today? I don't know. A little part of me thinks that we could get a little bit of a recovery type of day, and then we'll look to see what happens from there. TSM, one that I'm looking at to maybe play.
I can offer an explanation for the current holding at 545 for SPY if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, I've said that it's basically impossible to draw trend lines and resistances and supports on pre-market data because it doesn't translate into regular trading hours because, as you said, they are two worlds. But there is a way to find support and resistances for regular trading hours before it opens. Now, the way to do that is, I know some of you may not trade options, but options are actually a great way to tell whether an index is going to stay at a level or not. Now, for example, I may not have it on the screen right now, but for example, if you go on Yahoo Finance and you type in SPY, you go into options, the data is delayed, but that doesn't matter because you're only looking at market open data. Now, so you go into SPY and then you press options. You will see for the closest expiration because indices are actually driven in a large part by market makers. Now, the market makers are not your enemy. You trade with them. You can see here, the market makers have quite a large naked position, like exposure at 545, both in puts and calls, right? So what you can see here is there are two groups of market makers vying for superiority. Neither wants to lose money. So we're going to see a lot of back and forth at this area. Which is why I said this might be the regional top for the day.
I agree. So I'm looking at to see what happens here around 10. 10 is going to be important, but it's not a boom out the gates here today. So that's another thing to think about. There's Wheeler down to 720, 728s. Let's go, Wheeler. Let's go. Let's go down. That's what I'm rooting for here. 725's now showing up there. So looking good there on that Wheeler. And I just really want to see it just completely give up here. So now just bid action is a lot of what I'd like to see on the tape here. So it looks good there, Wheeler. We'll see if we can get some continued downside through 7. Down to 725s now. Looking good there in Wheeler. Let's go, Wheeler. Take another leg. There it goes. There she goes, Wheeler. All right, 7's available to it here. Let's see if it really wants to take it here. There could be a bounce towards like 740s, 730s, and that could be an ad for me. But at this point, there's no point in adding, guys. I'm so far away from the action. It's just more, can it just continue to flush? So I'm just looking for the flush down through the 7, and now I got to look at, okay, so what is the level that I could take the money off of? The hourly level is where I'm going to be looking at here. So 673 is the next spot. I think you can blow through that though, back down towards this body, and that's closer towards 6 and 526. So I still got ways away for this to really kind of break down through there. The 673 is going to be an important level to look at to see what happens there, but looking for this to really just continue working in the green. I'm going to actually, in a second, if it breaks that 673, I can set a stop near my entry and just let this work. See if it's just an all-day fade on Wheeler. SMMT, guys, there goes 1761. This was a really good watch today. It's still staying strong, still held that VWAP, made the move really quickly towards the 1770s. So this is actually staying really strong, guys. MRK, how's that trading today, guys? Of course, that one also has a drug that's very similar to this, and this is actually coming back on the action. So it just shows me that maybe they're just really like looking into this space, right? So healthcare not doing bad on the day here, and overall there's not much red on the screen so far, guys. It's a slow climb back, but it's staying strong here. SPY trying to make the next move. We'll see if it can continue. TSM definitely on my radar here as it stays strong here out the gates. We'll look to see if it makes the next step up. AMD is another one that I look at, right, to see momentum on the day. Let's see how that's doing. It's holding the pullback right now. We'll see if it holds at 163.50s and then makes a move back to the upside here. Summit, though, moving 1795. So definitely, if you got that one, hey, shout out to you guys. SINT back down to the 620s and now starting to slow down a little bit there. We'll see if that continues. Fixie now starting to make that move to the downside. So remember I talked about how this could break down to the 13s. We just got a nice little kind of flush down, fake down. So now let's see what happens in the Qs to see if we really get some continuation. All right, Q is looking like it wants to get through that 454s here. And of course, I talked about the hourly levels that I'm looking at that I feel like are important here. So in the second here, we're going to hit 10, and then now we can make a little bit of a pullback. It's time. Yes, on Friday, I played this move here, and I got a quick pullback, and then it washed me out. So I think we could get that quick pullback, but on that quick pullback, I'm still going to play upside today. It looks good, but the truth is the same thing happened on Friday. All right, what's up out there, guys? How we doing? Let's get after it, traders. Wheeler back towards 730s. Could add there. I'm just staying at it right now, guys. I'm just going to let that work. In a second there, I'm going to set a stop near my entry to just see if this can continue down today. All right, set the stop there on Wheeler, guys. It's at my entry, so we'll see if that just continues to work. I'm looking to take a trade elsewhere and focusing on that. So SOXL is one trade that I can look at for the upside move here for the breakout. All right, liking SOXL here as we start to come back to this 2720s here. But I'm in the middle of the chart here, so I'm not taking the buy just yet. But on the 15-minute, I'm right at the VWAP. So, all right, I'll take a little bit there. I'll take 100 there. I like the 15-minute chart a little bit more than the 1-minute chart. So I'm trying to hold there towards this 15-minute chart. You guys see it on the screen right now. So now I'd like to see if we can start to push above this kind of 2710s and really hold that. Go through the 2750s is what I'm looking for here. Let's see if we can get that pushed through. I only went with 100 shares here to keep it small. Could get bigger here as it breaks through the 2750s. There's 2730s looking good here as we start to go back to the upside. I'm seeing the Qs break to the upside there. There's a nice little push there in SOXL on the first little push here. Now I'm looking for a nice continued break to the high around that 2744, looking to see if we can get through that level. And once we get through that, I can try to get the pullback levels here. Wheeler is coming back a little bit. It's at 735. So I'm not going to stress too much about that because I have the stop place and I'm just going to continue to trade, baby. If you guys see any names moving out there and you guys want to talk about them, throw them up in the chat. Looks like INBS might break. We'll see. Richard, what are you seeing on that break? Did you see a nice little up move? What do you
Yes, I did. As we can see right now, it seems like the market makers selling the puts have won over the market makers selling the calls. And what we're seeing here is once again, a fierce battle.
Fierce battle, man. Fierce battle. You're looking at what, like call to put ratio?
No, not the call or put ratio. See, because every single call and put have different open interests.
Oh, you're
and so
looking
what
at
you're supposed to
okay.
see is the entire chain. Look at the entire chain.
Mm-hmm.
And you find the contracts with the highest open interest, because then those are the positions that market makers have the most exposure on.
All right. I can't blame you for that. You're not wrong there. Those are the ones that move.
Indeed.
Do
Personally,
you trade them? Do you trade them, or are you just trade equity?
I do trade options, actually. I'm not really a share trader. I trade options mostly.
Ha 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 ha. There's Wheeler. Let's go, Wheeler. Let's go. Let's go. Hit that nail. Now let's go through that 7. You see that bunch up? That's that indecision candle where a lot of traders probably rush to profits. Now I'm looking for the flush down. Let's see if it gets it there. Come on, through that 7. Let's go. Come on, Wheeler. Wheeler, get through there. Stock sell pulling back there off of that attempt there. We'll look to see if we can continue up there. Summit to 18 now. 60 down to 1329. So as this continues going higher, the VIXI can just continue to break down. So that's actually looking good like a short, right? But I didn't get that first breakdown because it's just a lot of indecision there on that 1350s. So if we do get a move, let's say back to support on the Qs, one thing to look at would be how much does the VIXI come back up on that. So this could also be a way to like hedge yourself. If you're like caught in different trades, you can be like kind of going long or short the VIXI to try to hedge yourself a little bit. We'll see what happens here. Stock sell, I'm not trying to go too big, so I'm just kind of keeping a close eye on it right now. All right, looking good here. Let's see if it takes the 2740s on up action. It's a little pullback to the 23s. Like how it didn't come right back to the VWAP there. It kind of held that. So I'm going to risk off of that VWAP right now, which is that VWAP is around 2712s. So right now, essentially, the risk is only $15, guys. So the reason why I want to keep that risk tight is that the move hasn't really happened here. I'm early to it, and I'm waiting for it to kind of get that push, and then I'm going to get bigger. The gamma exposure, rando. There you go. All right, let's see what happens here. Wheeler, well, you come down. Wheeler's bouncing a little bit. Right, looking around, guys, I'm seeing NVIDIA just kind of chomping right now. We'll look to see if it takes the next move. TSM, though, did make that move. Remember earlier, I was talking about how this setup looked good here off that VWAP hold, and there it goes. So TSM giving me a little sign. This one's a little bit stronger than most of the market, but I like the pattern there. It is the stronger one of the bunch, so not a bad-looking one there, guys. I am looking around to see what else is making a move. What is going on in Moderna, man? There has to be some news out on Moderna. So if you guys are seeing something out there that's making a big move, that could move a lot of names, right? In, let's say, like in healthcare, right? Overall, right? So hey, take a look out there, guys, as you start to get this move. XLV might take a little bit of a lift there as Moderna is pushing strong, kind of doing some heavy lifting, but definitely Moderna, big moves there. Not sure what's going on there. I need to go look to see what news is out, but there's something out there because that's a nice little move there. All right, now towards 2730s now here in Soxel. In a second here, I might just add and then hold break even on the rest, looking for it to kind of make the move. And if it doesn't, I'll get out right here. So it's like on the make it or breakout right now. Let's see if the Qs just want to rip here. And you get the pullback right there. Now back towards the 20s here. So didn't get the breakout there. And you got a top also on the SMMT. It went there, though, from 18s really quickly to 1870. So that play early on in the day, guys, that SMMT, that's the one that I think I missed today that, yeah, I'm going to look back and be like, man, you had the nice levels, good risk to return on that thing. And it's made a big climb. VIXY looking like it wants to keep going lower there, and if that happens, that could give us a sign also that the Qs could make another push to the upside. SPY, though, overall on the hourly candle, it just finished that candle, and it finished it above 544.80s. So now I'm going to look to see if the 544s can hold today at like completely. So at this point, if 544s can hold, I'll be playing upside. Breakdown through 544s is what's concerning for me in the SPY now. All right, Soxal holding well there. It's still pulling back there. Still hasn't making the breakout move. I'm looking for that move through 2740s, and then I can look to see if maybe I add to it. But only have 100 shares right now. Trying to stay small and then add to it, guys. Q's trying to reload there. Could see the VIXY go lower through the 13s, back towards 13. Right on the dot. So see how this is just kind of just following the 9 EMA. All right, let's go taking a look at another one that I can maybe trade here. SMH. Yeah, SMH doesn't look too bad for maybe a swing trade style trade. On semiconductor doing pretty well. Wolf. So I'm looking at what's doing well out there, guys. SMTC, Simtech. That's a beaten down name. Soxal going into the green there for me, up towards the 2130s, 2140s. Has that opportunity now to make the breakout. The Qs are actually on a pullback, so that's why I'm not stepping up to the plate. If the Qs were near the breakout, I'd probably step up to the plate here, but there's Summit now to 1860s. Man, that Summit, guys, that Summit today, it's climbing the Summit right back up. Let's just say that much. It took a Summit move down, but it's also taking a Summit move back up. So watch out there, guys.
I do believe we will hold like 545 on SPY for the rest of the day. I mean, there are just so many contracts expiring today. It's honestly unusual, and market makers definitely don't want to lose on either side.
Woohoo! Summit now almost 19, guys. That might be a scalp opportunity too, but the big thing is how's the spread moving on that? And it's not bad. It's pretty tight. Look at this move in Summit, guys. It's a little frustrating to miss because the opportunity was there and the risk to return was there. And so if maybe I don't go at this in the day trade account, I should have maybe definitely taken a swing on the swing account on something like this. Of course, you got to stay to the nice tight risk, but the reward could have been massive and you could have been looking for a bigger move here. And that's exactly what we're getting. We looked at this in the pre-market, looking to see a potential move back to 19s and 20s, and you're already back to 19 within like the first hour of the market day, showing the strength there in Summit. What a move there. All right,
Summit's biotech.
What's up?
I mean, Summit's biotech, so this kind of move is pretty move on the mill.
All right, man. I'm going to put you up for a little bit. Richard, show us what you got, man.
Thanks, man. So as you can see here, SPY's on the uptrend. I guess I was probably a little wrong on the fact it'll break down. But once again, I do believe it'll hold 545 simply because, there are so many contracts expiring today on 545 around this area. And I guess, I mean, if you allow me to, I could take some time to explain some of my own positions.
All right, guys, just added there on Soxel, and yeah, you can explain it. You got the screen right now, man. You take the reins,
Thank
Richard.
you.
Tell us what's going on in the market, and take a little while, man. The reins yours. Take over.
Right, of course. Thank you very much. Obviously, Spy is taking a breather. I mean, it's to be expected, right? We had such a loss. I mean, we had not a streak, but we had been dropping for so long. We had dropped for so much that having a small breather now doesn't really, isn't too much out of the ordinary. So it's to be expected. But what we're seeing here on Spy, I mean, I don't really look at chart. I don't really look at candlestick patterns, but I guess we can draw a trend line from here to here, and maybe I'll look off of that.
All right, another lift there in the Soxel, guys. I have 200 shares at 27.38. Just want to give that news out there. Wheeler's just hanging out down there, guys. Try to all day fade that thing. Soxel making a move now.
Oh, yikes. I think, yeah, we just broke 546. I think everybody on the selling the puts are kind of
toast.
Yeah, kind of.
They're toasted, man. Let's go. Let's get going now.
Selling the calls. Yeah, selling the calls. Those guys selling the calls. There were like 9K open interest on those calls. So, I mean, it's about half, right? For 545, there were like 10K on the put side and 9K on the call side. So it was pretty even battle between the market makers who were going short calls and market makers who were going short puts. But as you can see very clearly, the ones shorting calls are toast.
There's the VIXie going down there, guys. If you guys are taking that short opportunity there on the VIXie, it's going down there. That gives me another sign that we're getting the up move. So looks good now. Summit to 1960s, almost $20 on Summit, guys. And Summit doesn't mean that it's going to stop at 20s. It could keep going. It's a crazy move there, guys. Getting some move in cannabis today. See an MSOX. So maybe that's an interesting one. Looking around out there, guys. NVIDIA coming back towards the high, trying to make the move there. It's trying. It hasn't made the move yet, though. That's another one that I'm looking for a nice little signal here. It's kind of lagging the market today, and that's an interesting outlook. TSM leading, right? I'm looking at that to see if that can continue to push. So I'll take the charts right quick, but you can keep talking, Richard. Just to show TSM there at 163. That was a nice little breakout on that one. So
yeah, it was pretty nice, I suppose.
Looking to see if the pullback 2740s hold. Yeah, not a bad move, right? Pretty decent breakout. And on the 15-minute.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And so the reason why I look at that one is that it's such strong holding in SMH. And SMH is a traded ETF, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. This is, you think long-term or swing traders are not taking a bet maybe for the upside to go back to 240s? I could see that, right? Like the bottoming on the daily for SMH. They're taking the shot. Now the question is are they right or wrong? I mean, that's a whole nother question, right? That Summit, definitely one of the top moves today. Let's go to the Qs and see what's leading the move here. Of course, Moderna was a big move up, and has that just continued? That's just rocking and rolling, man. Something good had to come out there. Look at this stick on the 1 minute. This is what you call algo takeover right here. This is an algorithm taking over, guys. This is not retail just buying on those pullbacks like that. Look at the 1 minute candles. It's almost funny. Like that is pretty though. The algo's just winning today in Moderna. That's for sure. That's probably
Moderna
helping.
actually had good news. They opened a new factory in Canada that got approved.
All the buy program out there definitely working. Wheeler making an attempt to the low. It hit like 710 and then stopped. So just keeping an eye on that. Stock sale just hanging out here at the 2760s at this point. Guys, I'm not going to risk a single penny on this. I'm willing to get back in on this, guys, but I'm also willing to just see if this can just go now. It's hung out here at the top end of the range for a good amount of time where if they want to take it, they got the opportunity. Now the question is, will it take it? Pullbacks back towards 2740s makes sense there. So it could just tap that. We'll see what happens. Gonna go looking elsewhere to take another trade here, guys. I got 2 trades in the green. Got to keep battling. Got to keep battling on the day. I am seeing another biotech that's making a move, and it just started to make the move on the scanners at least, which is SGMT. Another biotech, guys, of course. You guys know how they love the biotechs. See what happens on that one. SINT back to 560s there, guys. IMBS still holding around the 280s. Still haven't made the move into the 3s, but still holding out there, guys. How's Palantir doing today? How is that doing? Look at that. Nice little VWAP recovery on Palantir. I was looking at that in the pre-market. That was not a bad idea. Will Dell recover today? If we could have a bullish days, I think Dell could recover. I mean, the hourly candle, look at this hourly setup. It's interesting, right? I mean, maybe off the 106 there for the swing trade, back up towards like 110, 112. I don't know. It's a tough chart for me. VIXI now down to 1311s. I talked about how it could come back down on the support on the playbook today, and that's exactly what I'm seeing right now. It's coming back to the support. 90 EMA is 1276, so you're still getting the down, and maybe that's all with the down action we get today, right? Or could the VIXI break the support around 1260s? It could. Soxal still pulling back there, not the expansion move just yet. So taking a look around to see if maybe I'd take another trade out there. Just not wanting to make the move just yet. SMMT now towards 1968, almost $20 on that. How's Tesla doing? Tesla's doing pretty well there, guys. 220s almost. So Tesla's on the bounce back on the day. The question is, will it hold that? In 15 minutes, a nice stair step. There's a quick pullback here in Soxal. Could come back to the 2720s. I'm willing to get back in it at that level if it starts to come back, but I don't want to get caught here on the downside action. So I will cut out there, $2 down. Boom. Now look to see what happens here around the 90 EMA. Does it go to the VWAP or does it come right back up? It's still potential to come right back up there. We'll see what happens. If it does, I can catch other names too on the breakout. Just go bigger sizing here. It's just we're getting some indecision here around 10-18s here. And it's interesting on the Qs. The Qs are slowing down. It's a slow stair step move higher. Let's see if for some reason we get a crazy swing down here. So just trying to respect my outlook there is important there because it's just keeping me in the battle today. Today, I'm just trying to be a survivor. I'll play for victory if I start to get back to break even. But for right now, looking to play the survivor. Let's go. So to break resistance, it depends on the time frame that you're trading it, Steph. But the way that I look at it, right, my rule of three, a lot of the times, like let's say for the Qs, right here, it's a 5-minute time frame, right? And you get one attempt to the resistance, two attempts, two drives. So the way that I look at it is you can think about them drives or resistance. Third attempt, and then now you could get a pullback and then that move back towards the upside. I'd look for one more attempt to come back to that level and failing if I'm looking to short, let's say the Qs today, right? And so a lot of times I'm looking for 3 drives and then the fourth to see what happens there. Same thing that I'd be looking for in Wheeler for the breakdown, right? And so the way that I look at that is I'd look at it on the 1 minute and I can show that. So you get like the first kind of breakdown, right? You get a first breakdown, second breakdown. And now I'm looking to see if we get this third move here, right? Just get that third move. And then from there, just flush down. And the bounces are important too, because the bounces are going to be what you also want to be taking a look at. There's one bounce here, 2, 3, and now it shouldn't get back over that bounce. So this is where if the bulls want to take control back on Wheeler, it's back through that 750s. So that rejection there is very key. At the 730s, now I'm looking for the breakdown on Wheeler, just going through the 7. Could add here, but I just really don't want to mess the average up on this one. I'm really far from the action. I'm all the way up here by the VWAP. So with that being said, I can just let the market do the heavy lifting here. If it really wants to break, it can keep going down. There's 7. It's looking heavy. We'll see if it really gets that breakdown. Look at Soxel. Right back down to the 2710s. This is what I was a little bit concerned about, keeping my sizing right there when it was in the 30s. I would be down right now. Now I'm just looking to see what happens in the Qs. And you can see Wheeler and back into the 690s. So that's actually a good outlook there that I cut down and give myself the ability to make some money back on Wheeler. You never know. Wheeler could make me the $200, $300 itself. The daily chart has the potential to come back down to $5 today. And I'm at 787. I wouldn't be too mad. There's 660s now. 670s was an important level to look to see if we'd get any slowdown action there, because there is a pullback level there and a bounce support. But if it flushes through that, that's what I'm looking for. And it going towards like 6. Let's see if it continues the action. But that could be a profit take right here. The 673s, there's nothing wrong with taking $100 off of 100 shares, right? I'm up a full buck on this. At this point, I won't lose on the position. Maybe at lowest take 50. But looking for a bigger win. Trying to bounce back on this.
By the way, if anybody's following SPY, we're back to 545. So apologies there. I may have been off on the timing, but yeah, just a little off on the timing with the but still we are back. Yeah.
Yeah. A little chop action, wouldn't you know it, guys? So I think now we got to watch what happened in the last hour. So this is why I have it set up here, guys, where it's changed from the open, and then to the right of that, that's changed from the open, but only in an hourly basis. So in the last hourly candle, what's working, what's not? Of course, industrials are leading the overall action, but only up 0.37 in the last action. Financials, 0.76, up 0.36, right? So energy is kind of getting steady. So that's one thing I'd take a look at, because overall it's up 0.37 and it's up 0.35. So this is a move that's actually trending back, as it's been kind of starting to catch a little bit of a bounce there. We'll look to see if it gets any type of strength there, and look at XOM. Nice little bounce back day there for XOM. Maybe that's the play there, at least on the play that I'm catching off of some kind of change in trend. Not a bad one to take a look at, maybe on a pullback towards 113.50s. We'll see what happens there. Wheeler. There you go. Come on, Wheeler. Come on. 672s, trying to break that 673s, trying to make that next leg down here. Let's see if it takes that next leg here. Let's go. Let's go. Wash it out. Wash it out, Wheeler. Fill that whole gap. Let's go back to 526. There you go. 665 on the bid. There we go. Leaking. She's a leaking. Let's go, Wheeler. Take that next leg. All right, guys, going back to the overall market because that's very important here, guys. 453s just hanging out there. The Qs are right on the VWAP. So now look to see if they recollect on the VWAP. That's what I'm watching. 15-minute chart has resistance right here. I talked about how after that hourly, we could get attempts back towards that on the SPY. I drew that up there. Let's see what happens on that action. So that was on the pre-market highs on the hourly. And so you see on the hourly levels, that's right there at this like 544.75s. Let's see if we can hold that and then make the move back to the upside. That's one way that you catch the bounce today. If not, it could be a breakdown attempt here. Soxel Q's going lower. Nvidia is the one that scares me because it never really bounced back today. Never really did. We'll see what happens there. Apple, what's up with that one? Pretty weak on a day that it's going to have iPhone release. It's not something that I tend to see. So we'll see if this trend changes, but pretty weak there. There goes Wheeler. There goes Wheeler.
Congratulations.
Wheeler. 650s. Let's go.
Let's go.
Wheeler Real Estate. I don't even know what the hell they do, man.
Basically, they're in Virginia and they do a lot of shady stuff. That's it.
Wheeler, take the wheel. Oh, man. That's an interesting one, guys. All right, so 664 is on that one, continuing to trend down. One way to look for it to maybe be like, okay, well, maybe I got to run to the profits kind of thing is looking for the 9 EMA now to really start to hold above it, right? And so you can go on a deeper time frame and do that. You can go to like a 5 minute if you're on a 1 minute and maybe help yourself, but always keep that in mind. This could easily come back to 710, and that's okay. As long as it's like kind of holding this trend line down, holding the 9 EMA on the 5, I'm still looking good. If it starts to recover that, I take the money and run. That's how I approach it when I'm trying to extend down. Another part is where does it bounce? I'm expecting bounces near towards 526, 540s, 550s. So if I see, let's say $6, there's nothing wrong with taking, let's say 575, 580s, 590s. There's nothing wrong with just taking that and run. We'll see if I get down there. Down to 6, and I'm feeling really confident of just taking the money and run. It's a pretty good play, and you just celebrate it. SGMT. Continuing to the upside on that one. How'd the summit do? Now 2060s, guys. So, hey, wasn't a bad one, guys, man. That wasn't a bad one at all. Look at that, 2075. And it held the 9 the whole time. Ah, man, that's a frustrating one to not get the action on that one. Take the money. Take the money and run. Hoo-hoo. All right, traders. You guys, a lot of it's joining up there on X. Guys, smash the like. Rich, we holding? What we doing, man?
Well, once again, we are seeing I like to repeat this, a fierce battle between the market makers and the global makers. Yeah.
Will the dark side win?
I mean, you really wouldn't know. I think we're just going to chop for the rest of the day at 545, around that area, because there are just so many contracts there, and neither side wants to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if we just, like, kind of hover around 545, now, this is a little tidbit with options, right? This minimizes the intrinsic value on both sides of the contracts. So, what this would do, what hovering at 545 would do, is minimizing losses for the market makers. So what we might see is, what we are seeing, because we just had a push to 546 and it came right back down. What we might see is just a crab day all the way. 545, that's it.
Yeah, right now I'm looking into Goldman sucks, and you guys know how I feel about Goldman, but we'll see what happens here, guys. It looks interesting for an hour short off the 493 level, but that's just like if I feel like the market's going to break down here, I could go after that. I'm thinking about it for swing trades out there. If it could maybe double tap the 494, and for some reason I start to see a turn right back down to the downside, and the SPY or the Qs never even get back up there to the highs. That looks good for me there on Goldman Sachs, but JPM, very similar pattern. What about Wells Fargo? Back up there towards 55, and it's actually flushed from around 56. So it's not looking at like a bad area to maybe short it off of a weak level around the 55, but we'll see what happens there. Citi back to 60. This also looks like a nice short there for me because this flushed down right actually below this. So doesn't look too bad there. It's coming back. It's came back all the way back to 60.50s. So it seems like it's holding that as resistance in the short term. We'll see what happens there. If it could double top, I'm looking for some double tops in these banks and stuff like that. And then to see that come down, that's what I'm just looking out there. Technology is the story, right? 0.32 up over from the open, but in the last hour, down 0.31. So what's going to happen here? It's going to determine a lot of the overall market, but I'm just looking out there to see what's staying in the strength right now. Industrials are staying in the strength. XLI, of course, you can take a look at that, and what necessarily else is doing well here. Let's take a look at some of the bigger names, see where I can find a trend. I'm seeing defensive names, RTX up, Lockheed Martin, right? ADP. So defensive names indeed. General Dynamics, another name. Bunch of defensive names holding it up right now. Deere making a nice little push to the upside. Even Boeing holding in right now. We'll see what happens on that. But definitely defensive names not looking too bad. Lockheed Martin up there to 574. NVIDIA downside turn there comes in, and VIXI's coming back, guys. Coming back with a vengeance here. So now it's come to bet. Do you think that we're going to get the downside again in the market? Is this just another washout? Right?
Yeah. I think we're just gonna
another washout.
We're gonna hover around 545. This is just gonna be a replay of what happened like around 10 o'clock. The whole goes up and then goes down, except for the opposite right now, because market makers just don't want it to go really high or low on either side. And there is a rebound.
So they're just going to shake them and bake them today. That's what you're telling me.
Well, how do I put this? Because obviously one side wants to win, right? Because, you wouldn't want to lose money. Market makers, they're not friends. They want to fight against each other. I mean, they're not fighting, but, they want to make money. You don't want to get out with, like, a small loss. So both sides want to win. They're going to fight over, with liquidity. They're going to use the liquidity to push the price up and down. But neither side wants to get the price too low or too high. Or else, one side is going to become toast. So what they're going to do is they're just going to make it hover around 545. As a collective, they will make it hover around 545. And as we speak, we're seeing a small green candle coming up. But as I predict this will go back up to 545, and then we'll just continue this wild oscillation up and down.
We're close to an important level for me on the SPY, that 544. That's kind of like your opening price around that. Opening price being 554.04. Keeping a very close eye on that opening price. Brando saying, "Not like Richard." You getting some love out there.
Thanks, man.
Run just hit 1 million shares. Run, run, run. Run, guys, run. Wheeler, can you just borrow a toilet and just flush it all day, please? Wheeler,
Honestly,
down.
You could probably make a direct call to Wheeler office in Virginia and could tell them to pump the stock, and they would.
And they would. I like it. I like it.
No, seriously, these guys are, from what I've heard, they've been in the local newspaper for stock manipulation. People were mad at it. The local news were mad at Wheeler that they were doing all the shady stuff. So you never know.
You never know with Wheeler. You never know.
This might be some executives wanting to take profits.
You never know.
Yeah,
I'll
but
tell you one thing. This thing reverse split like crazy or something, because I just woke up. It's done 1 million reverse splits in the past. I mean, when you've done 1 million, when you go back and then this is split adjusted, The price is like $8,000.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, some adjustments there. Let's just say that much. This thing has a
Adjustments, minute
tendency.
adjustments, really.
Yeah, just minor, man. Has a tendency of going up like they did here, the $21. Next day it went up to 19, but the low was 13 that day. So,
My real concern with Wheeler, because because I actually was talking about Wheeler with some people in my own groups, and Wheeler, the first red flag that popped out to me for Wheeler was that it had 4 million in volume on Friday, but it only has 1 million in float. So every single share got transacted 4 times in one day.
yeah, float rotation, man. That's how you can make the really high short interest or high short float ones kind of the low float ones kind of really move, right? Because when you flip that, it's just the momentum completely changes. It's almost like whatever the price action is before that, you can kind of kick it out, right? Because it's just all that matters is now volume to the name, but it needs to continue that type of volume to really kind of continue the move. And I feel like that's what we're not seeing today. I'm seeing that volume die off, and this is one of those trades where it's just a slow leak, and it could leak all day.
Another interpretation could actually be that this is simply management doing one of their little tricks on Wheeler because, they need a little extra cash.
Agreed.
It's something you can't trade, obviously. You can make money off of management doing their little manipulation, but it's hard. It's hard.
That it is. It's bouncing a little bit here. We'll see what happens, guys. I'm going to go pay attention to the overall market. So I'm going to set a stop there. I'm still setting the stop like only in $6 of green. I want to set it down below that 7 if we can make a move to 6. But that's once we make that move towards 6, right? I still need that move towards 6 at least. I'll be waiting for that. SMMT back down to 20s. It got up to it's like 21. Let's go take a look at the market overall and see what we're seeing out there. BOF still coming back down on that one. FFIE did go also back down to the 420s. That's another leak. If you like short stocks out there, that looks interesting for me. But hey, it's up to you guys out there to determine what you're getting after. Let's take a look around. Let's take a look at the Qs overall. Now we're down to 451s. And actually, you're kind of in washout mode now, right? I mean, the 554s, the 544s hit on the SPY. It recovered it. So that's one thing to take a look at, but you hit it right on it. So now I'm looking to see what happens here in the SPY. Are we going to bounce here, or are we just going to start to come down? So big level to watch. I had that 544 drawn. You just bounce on there multiple times. Let's see if they take it back here, or will we get some downside action? I think it's important to stay in a little bit of a deeper time frame now because it's 10:30. But I just wanted to show you guys the quick action there. Pay attention to the 15-minute chart. That's what I like the most here, because that's what's going to keep you within the range, right? So not trading too much within the range, just looking to see if we're going to get breakdowns here. Breakdown through 544, and you start to get the VIXI to really start to push there towards like 1340s, 1350s, 1370s, and it can recover 14. Don't forget, yesterday on Friday, we were up there towards 1440s. So that's still about $1 away from the upside. If you think this is going to just go right back to the upside on the market, then you could also short the VIXI here. So there's always plays to be made. That's why I always say there's an infinite amount of opportunities in the market, and there definitely is. What's up out there, Scott? It's good to see you. Yeah, Rich, of course, man. That's the fun part. There's infinite, and if you miss one, don't kill yourself about it. Just look for the next.
Obviously. That's great advice, actually.
It happens to me, man. That's one of the hardest things for me. Like, let's say for Summit, I'm not gonna lie, I kick myself about those types of trades because it's just like you're calling the level, you're looking for the level, the setup. You don't look at it when the market opens. It does the move, and you don't take the trade. That's one of my weaknesses, guys. So if you guys want to know one of my weaknesses today, it's always important to admit to weaknesses and admit to your strengths. So one of my weaknesses is setting up a trade, doing all the analysis needed, and then just not taking the trade and getting frustrated about it. That happens. SMMT is one of those trades, but I don't care about it now because it's just ways away, right? I'm not going to worry about it now. But the truth is, this should be a trade that I can execute on, especially taking the levels.
One of my weaknesses would definitely be stage fright. So excuse me on that, people.
It's all good, my friend. It's all good, man. We're enjoying it here. We're having a good time. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me.
Oh, thank you so much.
There's this
I
spy.
actually have some
It's
puts
trying.
on deer.
It's trying. I think this is that kind of that mix. This is the moment right here what's probably going to make or break the day. And I think this is the important part. The first hour of the day, a lot of times this goes to what? Back to break even. It's exactly what we're getting here now. Now the question is, who's going to win here? If it's the Bulls, they're going to probably just grind it back towards the upside here. And then I can see it taking out the highs. If it's the Bears, I think it'll be a quick move down here because they'll want to kind of close this gap back down. And do I think that SPY's going back, let's say, towards, let's say, below 539? No, I'm not saying that now. But I do think it could go back to, like, let's say, 541, 540 today. So we'll see what happens here, guys. It's definitely a little bit of a mixed noise. It's trying to wash out the open. Open is 544.08 here on the SPY, and you're literally sitting on it, right? Look at the price right now, 544.08, right on it. So opening price is a big important level, guys. A lot of people don't look at the opening price of stocks. They look at those when the stock opens. They're so focused on it, but then they don't look when the stock comes back to that opening price. What could that be? So, like, let's say if I was a big buyer today out the gates on the SPY, and I just felt today the SPY is going up, man. It's a big recovery day. If I put a big order out the gates, it'll get filled because there's huge liquidity out the gates, right? So there's the big fill, right? And you see those big volumes out the gates. There's a reason why. A lot of trades getting filled right there. So let's say if I did a big size at 544. Well, when the stock comes back to my level, that's an actual place that I can add again. As the stock's pulling back, I can be adding there. Or let's say if I took a big trade out the gates there and I can sell a big portion of it on the first rip and buy it back here, because it's essentially giving me the opportunity to buy back the open. At least not much trading action in Wheeler. That's actually a good thing. It's like just algorithmic volume. And so I'm hoping that Wheeler has those algo programs on the downside today.
I mean, Wheeler is so, how do I put this? They're so unpopular, not in the sense that they are not liked, but in the sense that they are completely overlooked by most of the large names. So if there is trading, it's either retail or it's management.
I wonder what the float is on Wheeler.
Like 1 million. That's it.
1 million? Yeah.
1 million. And then volume was 4 million
it.
on Friday. So that was my first red flag. I don't touch these kind of things because I don't trust myself to make money on them.
Yeah.
My weakness would probably be penny stocks. Yeah. Like, aside from stage fright, obviously. But penny stocks, I don't trade penny stocks because I just don't know how.
And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to admit that. I think what's important is that if that's up your alley, right? Like if that matches your personality, right? I'm able to trade them, but the truth is that is it my favorite type of trade? I would say no. I mean, I've been liking the pre-market action for those. And lately it's cost me, like today, it cost me a little bit. And the day prior on Friday, it cost me a bit. But other than that, I mean, I've had a pretty decent time with pre-market trading. But mainly when I just stay small and I just try to use like a small position where even if I get a red trade, like the amount that I'm losing is very minimal. But a good potential cushion is such an important thing in trading. That's maybe a big plus to look at. I always think about this is that if you can get a cushion onto the day, you can sometimes really let your skills do the work for you at that point, because now you don't have that pressure so much about losing on the first trade. There's nothing like that first trade, right? When traders get red or green on the first trade, it's so important, right? And that's why I think that on the first trade, it's also so important to maybe not push it so much, because if you get deep red on that first one, it could really kind of wreck your mentality.
You got some really good advice on psychology, actually. I love that.
It's the truth, man, and it's. I think it's more prudent as a day trader to wait till you know the like where the day is going, where you're using more chart time to kind of tell you that, than taking the big swing early in the day when you don't know where the market's going to go, or you don't have the chart to really go off of that, and taking bigger size then. That's what you see a lot of traders do. They start big and go smaller. It might be better to take the opposite approach, right? Start small and then go bigger as you start to see the trend.
Speaking of psychology, I mean, I know I've been talking a lot about market makers. Oh, they control the markets. But one thing to note is that market makers are not the enemy. They are the smart money. They are basically what, the term smart money encompasses. They don't really care about a small portfolio. Even like $1 million portfolio is a small number to them. They really do not care. What they do care, however, is what the other market maker is doing. So we as retail, we as these small accounts, and by small I can mean like anywhere from 100 million to like $500. That is also considered small in nowadays markets.
Yeah.
To us, what we need to do is see what signals the market makers give us and trade off of those signals.
Seeing some red come in there, guys. So they're trying to wash it out. Now the question is, will the Bears take it? Nvidia down to 104. Definitely dropping fast there. SPY cut to 544s, but not a big cut, right? So the next like big candle, we're looking for like a big candle showing up on the 5-minute, whichever way that could be, right? I'm not saying that it's going to be down or up right now, but I'm looking for it, right? Because you see how these candles get kind of small. So what we're looking for is kind of like that true drive kind of candle, right? And then that could determine where we start to kind of push from. But right now we're still chopping around, and pretty much what Richard said from the beginning. Guess what, guys? It's still out there. The battle's on. The battle's on, Richard.
Indeed. Because you can actually kind of quantify this, right? They get a lot of premium from selling tens of thousands of contracts a day. They get a lot of premium considering, like, even if it's zero DTEs, zero day to expiry contracts, they get a lot of premium.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree with that so
liquidity.
much.
Yeah, that's their liquidity right there. That is what they use to move the markets to prevent them from losing money. Because they still get out with a profit in the end if they manage to move the markets their way. I don't think they used up all the premium yet. They probably have a lot of liquidity left. So I am willing to bet on the possibility that we are just going to crap. This is just another oscillation to the downside. We will oscillate to the median very soon.
All right, looking to see if we're going to get some more retail leaks. So I'm taking a look into that for kind of swing trades outlook, but looking into different stocks out there to see if we start to see a downside turn. One stock, at least for day trade action, that I could see if we do get some downside leak today is like Best Buy. That's held strong since the earnings, but that could easily close some of the gap, and it's right off the support there. So looking to see if it closes some of the gap, starts working its way back to like 95. And it's a strong name, but I still think that it could still break down here. AEO is another one that could keep breaking down back towards the 1860s. Of course, I have a swing trade on an ANF. I'm still looking for that to continue working. Macy's was the big trade, right? That took a big trade last week. That's close to $600 trade. So looking to continue to make some swing trades. The Q's looking weak here, guys, now towards 450s. So we're definitely seeing that weakness in the market and not seeing that bounce. Guys, look at Soxel. If I would have stayed in Soxel, where would I be right now, guys? I'd be done for the day. Let's be honest. So I'm glad I took that $2 out there near my break even. As I added, when it came back, I cut out. What did I say in the pre-market? I want to try to improve on it, the habit. I did the action. And the action actually turned out to be what? Very positive for my P&L, right? So finding habits that you can do to go ahead and improve on that can make an impact on your P&L, I mean, isn't that great? So if there's one thing that I want you guys to take from this show today and continuously take from our show is what are the habits that I need to do to find success in my trading? If I'm not making those habits, how do I expect to get into success? How do I expect to reach my goals if I don't have the right habits? Realize that habits create so much more what your results are in life than even, let's say, random luck. You're in success, Greg R. Get after it, my friend. That's not a bad one. And if you got it on the pullback, you're looking great. That went from 29 to 30 here. Now I'd like to see that one hold 30 on pullback and continue down and continue up if you're looking for that to move. Look how it's held the 90 MA. So I talk about the 90 MA all the time. That's that light blue line, right? Look at the light blue line on this thing. It's a pretty one, right? So it was red, recovered right here. The momentum started, and then it pulled back, caught some buyers, pulled back, caught some buyers, pulled back, caught some buyers, pulled back, caught some buyers. Let's see if it can pull back and hold and find some buyers. So you can even make wick back downs, but I wouldn't want it to see it break the prior resistance. So this is the support right around, let's say, the 13s. You can make a wick towards 30, but should hold the close back towards the 9. We'll see what happens there in success as it starts to pull back. Wheeler is still hanging out.
Well, please go ahead.
No,
Wheeler.
Oh,
Lord, Wheeler.
It's just hanging out. It's just hanging out. It's going to be a hangout type of trade. But what's helping me is the VWAP is actually going down. So as the VWAP goes down, that makes me feel a little bit more confident. Now my price entry is actually above VWAP. So just let it work. Let it work. You never know. The market could dump today, and all of a sudden Wheeler could be back down to 4. So just letting it do its job. Summit with the big pullback, guys. So pullback opportunity here. Question is, where do you go buying? That's the harder part, really. Trying to do like kind of I think here on the 15-minute, you can see kind of that cup with like that handle pattern, but that could be all the way a pullback to like 1840s. If you're looking at maybe potentially this high here on the 15-minute holding around the kind of the body there, that's where I could see it maybe around the 19s holding on the pullback. Right now, you're still pulling back, but VWAP on the 5-minute has it down to 1855. Where does this find the hold, and where does it recover? Does it just recover the 9? Could very easily do that, right? You're right around the 19. You hit 1916, 1923s, and 1926 in the last 15 minutes, right? So we'll see what happens here on Summit if it can take another level to the upside.
Right. So can I recommend a book on here?
Of course you may, sir. I love books.
Right.
What book?
That's great. That's great. So I think what every trader should have in their inventory should be the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns by Bukowski.
Should we have that book? I don't know, man. Hold on a second.
Pirated it. I pirated it off of Zlib, so.
I'll tell you what, I'll put this full screen for just a second. Let me see if I can grab it.
But for you guys, for the viewers, there is actually a page on. You got it?
Over there. I'll leave it alone.
Okay.
I have it in 2 different versions.
I got the 20th edition.
I have it in 2 different versions. One, the library is still looking for it. But one I actually bought, but we won't talk about that one that the library is looking for.
Yeah, we won't talk about that one, I guess. But on chapter 58, there is an entire chapter on FDA drug approvals, and that is exactly what's going on with Summit right now, because Summit just had their, what was it again? Their drug on. If anybody remembers, does anybody remember what the drug was for on Summit? But it's a drug approval.
Lung cancer. Lung cancer.
Oh, lung cancer, right. So, yeah. So the FDA has approved their lung cancer drug. That's great. Now, according to Chapter 58 of the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns, this is a short-term bullish continuation. But yeah, that's right. But what I'd also like to add to it is that for these FDA drug approvals, a very big driver of price action would be DCF. I know it's very boring. It's a very boring topic. I can't even do it in such a short time frame. But these algos can, and these big funds, they can instantly calculate. They can, because their models have these variables that can be directly fed. That can directly take data from real time sources. And so what these models can do is they can immediately change their price targets on a biotech company based on the expected revenue streams from new drugs. So, it's like the Titanic. Back when the Titanic sank, the stock market reacted very accurately to the cruise line's stock. And it was, if I remember correctly, it was a 1.8 million drop in market cap for the company. And the Titanic was worth exactly that amount. So the markets are very efficient. So what we can see here is that we can probably guess that for Summit, the value of the new drug, the new lung cancer drug that they're getting, is somewhere around $7.
All right, guys, looking at potentially the market coming back here, looking to see if the market can start making its way back here. So I'm watching right now. I'm seeing NVIDIA bounce. I'm seeing some volume that wasn't really the strongest there on the downside. So that's what I'm thinking, that maybe we just bounce right back here. So I'm going to take a short here on the VIXI. I got 500 shares at the 38s. But looking to see if this can hold around the 1350s. It's made a couple of attempts to break above this, and this is also according to a strategy, right? And so a lot of this is always going to be, okay, what do I see? What do I see? What do I see? And then what's the strategy that I see that I'm going after? So this is that 3 times, like 4 times trying to break to the upside and then failing, right? And so you guys see there's a drive there. There was a drive here. There was a third drive. And then there was a 4th drive that just starts to fail right here. And so after that 4th time where it failed, what happened? Well, it came back to that and then it rejected that area. So 1350 is going to be an important level to watch for upside continuation on the VIXI. But if it rejects that, it could come right back below VWAP. So now I'm looking at shorting at VWAP. That's what I'm shorting off of. And really looking for bounces around the 1348s, 1345, if I wanted to add and see this keep coming down. But I could see it coming back to the 1310s and the $13 as it's a daily move that I'm looking at. So I talked about moves back to 13s on this. So that gives me potentially to make maybe 30 cents on there, 500 shares. That's a pretty good trade there. We'll see if I'm able to add it to the 1,000 shares. But now taking a look to see if the Qs can make a quick little spike to the upside. If we do get downside continuation, could take a look to see what happens to the banks. I talked about Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is right at the top there, and it's looking like it wants to bounce or come down. There's still trades there to be made to the downside. We'll see what happens.
Personally, I feel like once again, it's gonna bounce back. I don't see downside continuation here, honestly. Because why is that? Because the open interest on those contracts coming over the weekend was unusually strong, because market makers don't usually hold contracts over the weekend, yet they did this time, and it was an unusually large amount of contracts. They are going to hold 545 like it. They are going to hold on for their lives, both sides. So I don't see a downside continuation. We're probably just going to go back up to 545 and then continue from there.
All right, getting some downside pressure here, right? So I'm going to take a look at it here to see if I add to the VIXI or not. I'm going to give it a chance here to come up towards the 1350s and reject. But if it does get above that, I will definitely get out there. Going to give it the chance here to first go red back through the VWAP, and that's when I'll add my next sizing. Don't want to add it too much too early, right? That's the rule. So there's the 1350 test, right? Let's see what happens here. Now it's creating back towards that level where I want to see rejection area, right into this spot, not to hold that spot. Above that level, it starts to take down. And that also shows me what that means, that you're probably seeing some downside in the market. So we'll see what happens here. This is area where I want to see it reject, not above that. Above that, it starts to get towards the green side on a breakout. We'll see what happens here. First action, rejecting the 1350s. Now I want to see if the Qs or the SPY can find any bottoming. NVIDIA is not finding a bottom, and that is not good outlook there for me. That's the one that just keeps dragging, right? So you're right back into an important level. That 104 keeps acting as kind of support, but if it breaks that, it could just keep washing down, right? So hourly rejections is what we're seeing here. Hourly rejections, back down on NVIDIA. So the bears keep winning right now, guys. Bixie's pressuring me here, guys. Might have to get out. So I am seeing the downside.
While I don't have any open short-term positions, I'm a swing trader, so I do have puts on Deere, Uber, and PayPal. Now, I know that may not reflect well on my credibility, because Deere is up 1.96%, Uber is up almost 1%, and PayPal is up almost just over 1% as well. But for me, all these, if you allow me to explain my plays, because this might take a while.
Yeah. No, go for it, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much, then. So John Deere, it's not a bad company, right? Fundamentally, it's cheap, but it's also losing a lot of money. It's not hemorrhaging money per se, but it's hemorrhaging revenues. It is just not in a good part of the business cycle right now. And for John Deere, the chart looks like a very typical, what we call a broadening bottom. That's chapter 1 on the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. And this could either be a upwards breakout or a downwards breakout. But what I'm counting on is for John Deere to reject off of the upper trend line. Now, if you'll just...
I'll put you up.
Thank you very much. So back down to the 1 day, and to adjust the auto scaling, you will see that we have a broadening bottom with a top trend line right here and a bottom trend line right here. Now I'm just waiting for it to reject off of the, it just did reject off of the top trend line on last Wednesday. And I'm just betting on it to continue downwards in this sort of oscillation, this broadening oscillation. For Uber, now Uber's is a funny case, right? Uber, the company is not particularly, it's I wouldn't say it's attractive, but it's not attractive as a short either. Now for Uber, if you will check the PE and the forward PE, now this is another little tip for you guys. So price earnings and forward PE and forward price earnings, I don't believe these should be compared on their own. Like, price earnings itself it's a meaningless number. If you look at a stock with a price earnings at 10 times, you can't actually get any value from that number, right? It only means that the price is trading 10 times of earnings. That says nothing. You have to compare that to either an industry or a similar stock to find out whether it is potentially overvalued or undervalued. So say, for example, if we have a PE of 10 for the company and a PE of 5 for the industry, then we might say that the stock is overvalued, potentially. But that's not how I use P and forward PE. Now, the calculation for P is price over earnings, and forward P is price over estimated earnings. So if we divide trailing PE by forward PE, what we get is actually a measure of how many times the stock market is expecting the stock's earnings to multiply by the end of the year, because all of these estimates are by year end. So what we're seeing for Uber, if you'll just pull out, apologies because TradingView doesn't actually have forward PE, but if you look at other sites, you will see that for Uber, the trailing price earnings is 75 and the forward price earnings is 30. So 75 divided by 30 is just a little bit over 2. So what we can get from that is that the market is expecting earnings to double by next year, right? Now, for a ride-hailing company, that may be a little bit too much. So, for one, that's our first red flag with Uber. And secondly, if you'll take a look at the charts, you will see that there is a resistance at 74.48, and it has rejected that resistance once, twice, and thrice. And you can't call this a rejection as well, possibly, but once, twice, thrice, quattro. I don't know, but yes, as you can see, that's a very strong resistance, and we're rejecting that, and we're going downwards. I got in about here with puts, and it's been doing me well so far.
It's not a bad area to take a look at, right? I mean, I definitely have been looking into this space, and I think a big part of what will affect this space is interest rates, right? I mean, I think they're really interest sensitive. So if we're looking for revenue,
Uber, not really, actually, not really for Uber. Why?
I
Because
was
Uber,
talking for more for deer. My bad. On the Uber,
oh,
I was
please.
talking for more for deer. So that's one stock that's on my radar, right? So that's the one that I've talked about. I've talked about also with Cat, and so I've been focusing to see if deer can really kind of clear the 400 space. I've even drawn this box to see what would happen, and I'm really keeping an eye on that, because if deer can clear that, then I think you got some room to the upside. Coming back through a weekly trend line. But if it can't, then it could go back towards the 350s, if not actually 300, and play on the downside. So it'll be one to watch for sure.
For sure. I actually misjudged the entry on deer. I mean, I entered somewhere around here, which was a very bad entry. So as you can tell, I am kind of hemorrhaging money on deer right now. So, but I'm holding on to it because I believe my thesis, right? It is, once again, it's a broadening bottom and might reject, and it has rejected, and might continue downwards.
All right, guys, the SPY still battling. It's still red now for the day now. So that's one thing to definitely mention. We'll see what happens, guys. I'm still in the VIXY. I'm still down there. You guys see it down 77, and then a Wheeler up 75. We'll see what happens on the day. Where do I end up? The only way to find out, come tomorrow, guys. Come find out. Of course, today, big loss was on INBS. So that was the bigger loss. We'll see what happens on that one. It's still trading around the area where I got out. So we'll see what happens on that one. It's just hanging out there. INBS, will this cut down? Big mover of the day, Summit. What a move, guys. This thing is still hanging out there, and it did pull back to that 19 spot there for continuation. Recently, just went down there, another attempt there, 1903s right on the dot. Now back to 1950s. We'll see if it goes back towards that 20. Thanks, like always, for joining me, Richard, today. Appreciate you joining me, talking about some different trading action, talking about the fundamentals. And I appreciate it, because I like to bring all different styles out there for traders to learn from, because I really think it's important to find different traders that you guys attach to really learn from. Because the truth is, there's only one way, really. A lot of the times, this is going to be paying it forward for other traders out there to learn what you've learned, right? And I wish this for all of you guys out there. If you're starting to see success, or maybe you're not seeing success, but you understand things, we'll talk to other traders. Try to help other traders. You never know how it might just come down, trickling down on you. It's the trickle down effect, man. Put it out there, give to others, and others will give to you. And who knows, maybe the market rewards you. Thanks for joining me today, Richard, and everybody out there. Smash a like. How to spot and trade market breakouts is going to be a lot depending on what? It's going to be a lot depending on big key levels on the daily charts, guys. So keep your eyes on that. Right now, I'm watching levels right now. Do we come back to the 9 EMA, 550s? Or do we take out the lows of Friday's 537? It's going to be very important. Of course, you can see how we've been kind of playing in a Bollinger Band expansion period right now. So that's why the VIX is elevated. Volatility is higher. We'll see what happens in the Qs. The Qs are just hanging out right now today. NVIDIA still kind of just hanging out at that 104. We'll look to see if this can start ramping back. That will help me in the VIXY trade if that does help me. The fight's on out there, guys. We'll see what happens, traders. Find out tomorrow, and smash the like, guys. We'll be back. Thanks for everybody out there that participated in today's day. I see Rando out there. I see everyone out there. Par, Jay Angelo, talking about our pre-market action that we were talking about. Like always, we'll keep battling. Richard will be back another day. Hey, thank you
Yeah,
guys for joining
thank
me
you very
today.
much, guys.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. Stay safe out there, guys, and take what you guys learned. And something, especially if you're like an options trader, I'd go rewind this. Take a look more into what Richard said. There was a lot of gold there, guys. So smash the like. We'll see you guys back right here on Trade the Pool.